How's it going, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And man, we are all marveled out. Marvel behind me. And to my left, usually to my right, what are you doing over there? You got here first. That's what it was. Is my buddy, my partner in crime, Crushing Crisis from
crushingcrisis.com and from New Zealand. I'm in the other hemisphere. Everything's upside down and backwards. That's probably why I'm on the left today. But I come to you live today with Omar to talk about one of our favorite topics, a whole boatload of new omnibuses. What is more fun than that?
Is it boatload? I always called it buttload. That makes more sense if it's a boatload. How much?
You know, language evolves, Omar.
I live in Kentucky, so I always heard it buttload. And in my head as a kid, I'm like, okay. Anyway.
Well, when you like big butts, then it's a buttload.
I am a buttload man. All right, let's go ahead and talk about some Marvel Omnis today. I got to announce all the books for February and to July of 2026. And I know there are people that have already asked the question. I'm sure they're coming in with more questions about the reprints. We don't have that list yet. They did say they may trickle some in for the solicitations, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel where we go over the solicitations every month. So no reprints, just keep that in mind, but it's not like they've given up on them. I don't think any company will ever give up on reprints. It's just we've seen them take a break before, and they're probably going to take a break again some other time.
Well, and also, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the reprints sometimes show up with less lead time in the catalog than brand new books because they don't always have the like 9. I mean, we're talking about books with a 12 month lead like this. Sometimes omnibus reprints only get like a 6 to 9 month lead time.
Yes, it's usually like that for the epic collections too. Like the epics are usually the ones like the last thing I usually get out of the list of reprints from them. So if I do get a list of reprints, I'll be more than happy to do an updated video, or just let it put out there on like the community tab. And I know people are asking about the DC catalog. We're going to go through the entire catalog on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. I did reach out to Dustin and his team, Alex and all those guys, and let them know. So I'm trying to get more information. I did get the approval of well, they're double checking, unleashing what the Superman Brainiac Omnibus is going to be. So I think a lot of people are going to be really happy because they're going to give me the whole content and the reading order. So make sure you're watching that on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. That'll be live. And I'll also be taking some suggestions for additions, just like we are today too. James is here. Okay.
Always additions, never subtractions.
No. Has there ever been a subtraction on an omnibus?
I don't think anybody sees the map and they're like, get that out of there.
It was so bad. I'm sure at one time, maybe NYX was collected in an X23 omnibus, and somebody said, not on my watch, buddy. Get that out of there. Anyway, so that's what we're here to do. We're here to talk to you all, going over the exact content, the covers, and of course, suggestions from you all. And when I say suggestions, I don't mean every single issue that is suggested by every single person, because at the end of the day, I think everybody likes their own mapping. I have my own way of mapping things. So does Peter. And then I know you all come in, and I think there are some people that are like, no, this is the definitive mapping. This is what needs to be added. And it never really works that way. I just take the idea, and if more than like 10 or so many people are asking for the same thing, then I'll be more than happy to ask Marvel for it. At the end of the day, whatever they add is up to them. So there we go.
Well, and I think it's always important, and the first book we talk about is a perfect example for me of like, yeah, we all have our perfect way we would do it if we were the collections editor, but sometimes we have to put ourselves in the seat of, will this book read well? And like, there'll be a couple today where I will note some things that I think could fit into the book, but will the book read well on its own? Will a book read well based on the volume that comes before or directly after it? And if it does, sometimes we have to say like, you know what, that thing is collected elsewhere. It's not key to the character. It's just a fun addition. So even I, who we all know gets real high key about this mapping stuff, and I have had some vehement things to say in the comments of some of these announcement videos where Omar is wearing the suit jacket. This is about like, how do we make, are these books going to be fun, readable books? And I think in many of the examples they are, but let's get into it because you all know I will not hold back when they are not. And there's one of these books that really
you're holding back. Are you holding back? I can't tell.
That would be holding back right there. That's what me holding back looks like.
Okay. Wow. Never knew you could hold back. All right. So let's get started with this. Is that too much red? Too much red. Maybe I'll turn the background black for right now. Just remind me to turn it back to red in a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit.
There we go. Oh, that's easier on the eyes.
All right. So we are looking at the Marvel Omnis from February all the way to July of 2026. This is already in the catalog. In the catalog, I think they did add a couple of things to some books. I think one of them was the Black Knight Exodus, which is something that I got added to the Avengers Gathering Omnibus, but they're putting it into the Road. Is it Road to Onslaught 2, I think? I think they're adding it to the Road to Onslaught 2. Okay, let's move to the first book. So we're doing this in release order. Black Panther, Revenge of the Black Panther Omnibus. This is the Classics Omnibus Volume 2. We got the Classics Volume 1 a couple of years ago, and now this would be considered the second one. Peter was kind enough to go through each and every one of these and see where they ranked in the Tiger Eyes Most Wanted poll. This ranked at 88. We called ours Volume 2, right? Like Classics Volume 2. I think is what
we called it. Yes.
Yeah. So this is collecting the Black Panther 1977 series, 1 through 15, Marvel 2 and 1, 40 to 41, Marvel Team Up 87, Premiere 51 through 53. They did add some things, as you all suggested, that I sent their way, like the Defenders 84 through 86, the Iron Man Annual 5, Black Panther 1 through 4, Black Panther Panther's Prey 1 through 4, material for Marvel Team Up 100, and Marvel Comic Presents 13 through 37, 148, What the number 9, Solo Avengers 19, Marvel Superheroes 1, Marvel Fanfare 60, and Fantastic Four Unlimited number 1. This has some amazing stories by Don McGregor, of course, and the return of Jack Kirby to Marvel Comics. But it's the McGregor stuff that I love from this era. And the Marvel Comics Presents, I think that wraps up that trilogy, the Panther's Revenge trilogy. And you all suggested adding the Defender stories, and they did. They put them in there. That's the big fight with Namor. That's kind of like where a lot of those things started. So a lot of people are like, oh, that would be really important to add because later on they're at odds with each other. Hey, Rob, you're going to have to just come back whenever we're talking about Trial of Gambit, please. Otherwise, everything is going to get lost. I think I already had the Marvel Fanfare 2 and 3. But that's what this is. That's the one that kicks off and is coming out in February of 2026. Yes, Panther's Prey Quest. And thank you, my dude. Thank you. And James is keeping tabs on who's suggesting things too. But was there anything that I think somebody had suggested adding something to this, and I was like, I don't know if they'll add anything else. I think it's a pretty thick book already. And it's got really all... Oh, the Vibranium. Wasn't it the Vibranium story that they wanted from the annuals? Am I frozen or is Peter frozen? Does anyone know? We've got 2 Peters.
There we go.
Okay. I'll take that Peter off and keep this one on. Can you hear me, Peter? There you are.
So I guess this is my turn to talk about this book, or did I already miss my shot while my internet was the crab was walking over the wire?
I did not hear you. I was like, that's the quietest I've ever seen him. So that makes sense. You were frozen. Okay, take it away. Can you hear me, Peter? Crisis.
Hello.
Okay.
This computer's not long for this world. All right, let's see if we can unfreeze me now. So this is very close to what we mapped originally. Actually, and I want to point out this rose in demand a lot on the poll. I'm frozen again, aren't I? I don't know how I can make that better.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Maybe you can't hear me, though, so that's a problem. Yeah, they did say no to the Vibranium Vendetta, which is the crossover through the annuals, I believe. Yeah.
And that's really one of the only 2 things Black Panther is even in this period. I mean, that's not in here. You can go look on Crushing Crisis. I've been through his reading order with a fun this book. It would have been the Defender stuff, which is in the Vibranium Vendetta, which I understand it's a big long story. It didn't make it. And then the only other thing is he has a guest arc in Excalibur 59 and 60. It's not essential to his character. It's just like the only other thing.
Can you still hear me, Peter?
Yes.
Oh, good. Well, I think you're back. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. We're going to move on to the next book, which is Marvel Fanfare Volume 2, collecting issues 20 through 40. This was ranked 390 in Tiger Eye's poll in 2025. This is definitely one of those labor of love type of collections. I've done an overview of the first one. I love that Arthur Adams cover for I think that's the direct market cover, the Hobgoblin one. But I really like these stories, and I can't wait for the whole trilogy to be collected. Because at the very beginning, I think it was Al Milgrom talked about how there'll be a total of 3 of these.
Yeah, the only question with this really is if the third one will go on and continue that brief 90s Marvel Fanfare series. It's kind of proceeding exactly as we thought it might.
Rob was mentioning earlier how I think it was the Gambit Omnibus, the Trial Gambit needs the Marvel Fanfare issues 2 and 3, which features Wolverine, and it's that Marvel Fanfare series that we're talking about.
Yeah.
That 90s Marvel Fanfare. I hope they do, because otherwise, I mean, where else are you going to put that stuff?
I mean, it's very different because it's not quite as prestige as this one is, but it would be fun to just tack that onto the last omnibus. They're slim enough that those, what is it, like 7 issues or something like that? It's not going to break the bank.
Issue 33 of Marvel Fanfare is Quest Probe Part 4. Where has Quest Probe been collected? We've had one of those parts collected. Was it in Dazzler?
I believe it was in the Hulk Masterworks, I want to say.
Okay. We're not talking about Messiah Trilogy. We're trying to do this as they come out. So if you have ideas for Messiah Trilogy, Jesus,
we'll get there. Hold on.
Well, I don't even want to open up that freaking door. Hey James, if you're watching, James, can you put that in the spreadsheet, the Excalibur story to the Black Panther Omni?
I think that's just me being me. I really don't think it's very essential.
You're talking about Excalibur 2 with War Machine?
Like no. Yes. That arc.
Yeah. That's not even good.
Okay. No, I'm saying that's how deep we're digging, that like there's really nothing else to talk about in that Black Panther book. We're there. It's everything.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Well, just in case James is making a list. All right. Sentry. This is one that I think people were asking to add things. This is collecting Sentry 1 through 5, the specials, the New Avengers 7 through 10, the Sentry 1 through 8, which is the return of Paul Jenkins, and that one is done by John Romita Jr. And then the Age of the Sentry 1 through 6, the Fallen Sun one shot. I believe that's in the aftermath of Siege, if I'm not mistaken. And then Sentry 1 through 5, and then the Sentry from 2024 1 through 4. Sentry 1 through 5 from 2018, that's the Jeff Lemire series. This one was ranked 151. I think it was Siege that people wanted added, and then some New Avengers. I don't know. I think a recap page is okay because,
so here's the thing. First of all, this actually was steady on the poll. It literally was 151 in 2024 and 151 in 2025. Yeah. So there's a consistent demand. I mean, things that are in the top 200 still have a lot of people voting for them. This is probably the one book out of all of these that I just think the map, it just doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm. Because there's just, the Sentry makes big appearances in other places. Like, I'm happy that we have that New Avengers stuff. There's another New Avengers issue, number 24, that is like all him, and it adds so much context to him. That's not here. He has a similar issue in Mighty Avengers number 10 that like is a full Sentry issue. It's not even really a Mighty Avengers issue. So I kind of was surprised to see neither of those there. Of course, there's the obvious example of Siege, but I get that we just kind of recap that with Fallen Sun. But then what's unexpected is for it to jump all the way to the 2018 return in Lemire. for that to make any sense, you need the Doctor Strange issues where he actually comes back, which is Doctor Strange 382 to 385. Then this kind of has him all of a sudden being dead and not explaining, because spoilers, he's not in that 2024 series. And to explain that, you need King of Black, Return of the Valkyries 1 through 4, and then he has 2 more issues of Strange that kind of not necessarily necessary, but it explains where he goes. So this one to me feels a little anemic. It feels like they just did copy paste search for Sentry, and then they picked up those couple of new Avengers issues because they're like, oh, that's where Bendis explains him. But it's very disjointed, because as you get further in, the series will make less and less sense without the connective tissue. Would the typical fan who just saw him in the movie and buy this, would they know that? No, but that movie already came out months ago, so we have time to get it right. So this one kind of puzzles me a little bit. I think with the addition of less than 10 more issues, it could be a better book.
You know, it's funny. I think 2 out of my top 3 worst retcons of all time are in this. One of them is that stupid Fallen Sun.
Yeah.
And one of them is the Trial Gambit, which we'll get to later. God, I hate those retcons so much. So if they add Doctor Strange is the one that I was going to ask for. So you're also saying New Avengers 25 and Mighty Avengers 10. Is that what you said?
24 on Mighty Avengers 10. And again, if they reject that, I could see why. But I also think they're not as obvious issues as that initial Bendis arc sort of dealing with him, but they're full Sentry issues. They're like issues that follow that Sentry vibe, where it's like, ooh, we're going to insert something that explains the Sentry better by flashing back. But I think if I only got one thing and you had me up against a wall and I had to pick one, I would pick those Doctor Strange issues.
I think the Doctor Strange issues are very important. Those are the ones that I was going to ask for. But then again, this isn't about me. I see people saying Civil War: The Return is a must. Dark Avengers 12. So again, it's like everybody wants something different, and I will say it's sometimes emailing them can be a lot if it's every single omnibus that needs something added. I don't think I can. I'm not gonna do that.
I mean, I went through this very carefully when we mapped it for the poll, and I hear the argument on those Dark Avengers issues. The problem is they're not full Sentry issues, and I do agree that in mapping a book that's just Sentry, not Sentry the Dark Avenger, not Sentry and the Rise and Fall of Sentry, but it just says Sentry, I do respect that Marvel's probably trying to stay away from issues where he's not the sole focus. So those Dark Avengers issues, especially 12 and 13, they have important subplot pages for him leading into Siege, but they're subplot pages. So like, I don't know if there's a way you could put those full issues in that would make any sense to a reader. I think they would actually probably, and I'm trying to be honest with myself, the completionist here, I think they would probably take away from the reading experience.
You know, in the past, sometimes when they've said no, is because they've had other plans too. So I don't know right now if they do plan on collecting Mighty Avengers or Dark Avengers in any kind of omnibus, right? We just, what we have is what we have, and that's it.
But, you know, as it is, did they miss anything with his name on it? Absolutely not. These are all of the major Sentry series. Like I said, I think there's about 10 other issues that would add some connective tissue. And I think the biggest connective tissue is how did we get from Fallen Sun in 2010 to Sentry in 2018? And I think that's that brief arc of Doctor Strange, which is extremely focused on him. It's not mostly a Doctor Strange story.
Okay. So
but
James,
I will say, if you don't know this Sentry material, this is I would say this is a great read up until Fallen Sun 2010. It makes sense. It's got everything that you want. If you recently saw him in a movie and you want to go and sit down with the book, and you know, some of these have been out of print for a long time, especially 2005 one doesn't get reprinted a whole lot. So like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that those last 9 issues will make less sense.
Oh, especially the 2024 series, because with Fallen Sun, you're like, wait, but isn't that him in 2018? What happened there?
Yeah, he's not even, spoilers, he's not in the 2024 series. It's a Jessica Jones series that is just called Sentry.
Yeah, it's like it's the legacy.
Yeah.
What were the issues of Doctor Strange again?
That is Doctor Strange. Sorry, I just lost it on my sheet. 382 through 385.
All right, we will see. Amazing Spider-Man by Zeb Wells, Omnibus Volume 1. Collecting Amazing Spider-Man 1 through 26, Dark Web 1, Dark Web Finale, Free Comic Book Day 2022, Spider-Man Venom 1, and Amazing Spider-Man Annual 1 with Fallen Friend number 1. So the most modern run on Spider-Man, getting a Volume 1 Omnibus. You have John Romita Jr. as the standard edition cover, but I really like that direct market cover. So this leaves out any of the Dark Web stories, which makes sense. We kind of knew that since there's a Dark Web Omnibus. They're doing the same thing that they've done with Absolute Carnage and King in Black. And I think you can probably rest assured that Gang War won't be collected fully, just the one shot. Yep.
I think if there was any, I mean, this is very standard. Marvel knows what they're doing. They did it with the Nick Spencer ones too. They know to collect all the things that already existed in the trade paperbacks for these single author runs of Amazing Spider-Man. Would we maybe hold out some vestige of hope that they would go wild and kind of include a lot of things to the side of this that happened at the same time? Like, I don't know, Devil's Reign Spider-Man or Deadly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Sure, but that's just not how they collect these modern books. If we ever get those, they'll be in some kind of a companion book, and Marvel has shown a willingness to go and kind of put those books together for Spider-Man. We got the Superior Spider-Man Volume 2, which I think was a really big shock to everybody. So there's really nothing else to say about this. There are more one-shots that come in this run, but they're far after where this comes at 26. They're closer to the Gang War stuff. So there's things like Jackpot number 1, there's Web of Spider-Man number 1 material in it, but that all comes much, much later. That would be in a Volume 2. And I think this stops at the perfect place. The first big story of this book ends with issue number 26 and Fallen Friend. And I think actually, and I've said this on a lot of streams with a lot of people, all of you who've heard all these terrible things about the Zeb Wells Spider-Man and you haven't read it, or you only read a couple of issues, this is going to read fine to you. The problem with this was often the pace and how long this first intro mystery took to solve. And people were very frustrated because it was a bi-weekly book. So this was a whole year of issues. You're going to read them all in one omnibus and you are not going to feel that frustration. So I really think in hindsight, this is going to have a better reputation than it has right now. People were mostly frustrated with the slowness as it was coming out.
That was their number one frustration.
I mean, and Paul, my bro Paul. It's the Amazing Paul by Zeb Wells, the Paul Omnibus.
Pray for Paul. All right, moving on to Excalibur 4, closing up the classic line of X-Men of this era, plus adding which we kind of knew I would have been so mad if the Epic was exclusive to that Excalibur second series from 2001 and we did not have it in omnibus format, so I'm glad that they added it in here. But issues 104 to 125, the -1 issue, Colossus 1, New Mutants Truth or Dare 1 through 3, Kitty Pryde Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. 1 through 3, X-Men Unlimited 19, X-Men True Friends, Chris Claremont coming back to these characters 1 through 3, and then Excalibur 2 or 3, whatever they call it, 1 through 4.
Yeah, this is perfect. I mean, it matches the Epic collections perfectly. It's a shock that we're even getting it because the Epics are pretty fresh. But I think Marvel has learned, and we're seeing this in some of these announcements, to strike while the iron is hot. Like if they know what the sales numbers were on Excalibur Volume 3, don't wait more than 2 years to put out Excalibur Volume 4. See if you can get all the same people to buy it. I mean, I'm thrilled with this. Fun fact, that makes this the first X-Men ongoing series from before 2000 to be completely collected. So we're having all of this in omnibus. We have all of this in omnibus before Uncanny, before X-Men.
Over that. Hold on.
1991, before Wolverine, before Alpha Flight, before New Mutants. Yeah.
Actually, no.
No?
Classic X-Men.
That doesn't count. You actually I see you with your glasses on.
I've got my readers here just in case I can't.
But,
I need them.
But wait, Omar, here I have it on actually for you. It's not actually perfect, Omar, because what 4 issues are missing according to you?
What 4 issues according to me are missing? 104, New Mutants, Kitty Pryde. Well, Starjammers was added to that row too, and this is Terry Cabana and Ben Robb era. Oh,
I have a special note. Omar will say, yes.
Is it magic? The Black Sun magic?
Yes. Omar feels very strongly
I
that
love
X-Men
that
Black
series.
Sun Magic should be
It's
included
freaking
here.
orphaned, man. They didn't collect it in the only place they could have put it is in that Eve of Destruction omnibus, and they left it out. What the hell, man? Now it's orphaned. Where am I gonna put my Amanda Sefton magic stories? It belongs here.
Gonna have to be in Marvel Rarities, the 2000s.
Yikes. I mean, I guess that is, you got to choose your battles, right? Do I really want to?
No, you don't.
Do I really want to fight for that? But I do love that character. All right, let's move on.
All right.
Secret Wars Battleworld Volume 3, Collecting Marvel Zombies, Master Kung Fu, Mrs. Deadpool and the Howling Commandos, Old Man Logan, Planet Hulk, Red Skull, Runaway, Secret Wars Agents of Atlas, Secret Wars Battleworld 1 through 4, and that's Secret Wars 2099, by the way. Secret Wars Journal, Secret Wars Secret Love, Secret Wars 2 TOO, and Siege 1 through 4. Wow. We have one more to go. I assume these books sold well enough that we're going to get all 4 of them. That's insane. I had no idea there were that many Battle Worlds. Did you? Did you?
No,
know
I think
this?
my PTSD repressed that memory of trying to follow them all at the time.
I'll be honest, man. There's a lot here I haven't read. Like, I haven't read that Red Skull. I haven't read that Journal, the 2099 Secret Wars, the Siege Secret Wars, and Secret Love. I don't even know what that is. Mrs. Deadpool and the Howling Commandos. That has been collected before. Oh, Master Kung Fu. I've never read that either. So, yeah, I got a lot here that I've never read.
I actually think of, I mean, it's a bold strategy. We'll see if it pays off for them in that this has been all alphabetical, which is wild. I can't think of any other time that they've had a multi-volume omnibus where they're like, let's just do it all alphabetical and not group them at all. Let's just put them in the order that they're going to go in.
Don't really connect, right? Like, they don't really intertwine. Like, it's not like it matters, but yeah.
But I will say that this is probably the one that has some of the most entertaining material. I think maybe all of my favorite materials are all in this one. Marvel Zombies was pretty fun. Master of Kung Fu is pretty good. If you had been reading Deadpool and you liked the Mrs. Deadpool stuff, Howling Commando will be funny to you. Old Man Logan, which is by Bendis, is probably the most kind of liked and referenced of all of the Secret Wars series. And Secret Wars Siege, which was Kieran Gillan's series, was the only supporting Secret Wars series that had any bearing, realistically, on the main Jonathan Hickman story, because clearly Gillan was kind of given this one plot point to make happen. So, like, this one is kind of where it's at, as far as I'm concerned.
Huh. This gets the Crushing Crisis seal of approval.
I mean, as much as an alternate reality anthology book can, but it's very fun to read.
Okay. Well, I think with this one, that one's like, yeah, they know what they're doing. The 4th one will be mapped with the rest of them in alphabetical order.
No surprises.
Star Wars Hidden Empire. This is the way they're collecting these books by events, not by series. So this is the Hidden Empire 2022, 1 through 5, Revelations 1, Star Wars 26 through 36, Star Wars Bounty Hunters 27 through 36, Darth Vader 28 through 36, and Dr. Aphra 22 through 34. Making Dr. Aphra Volume 3, or what is it, Enemies and Friends, I think the most double-dipped Star Wars Omnibus. I want to say, because between this, what was it, War of the Bounty Hunters, and the Crimson storyline, I think it's got the most double dip out of all of them. Because, there is no Bounty Hunters Omnibus, right? Like, there's no Vader Omnibus from this era, nor a Star Wars Omnibus. Because Aphra's the only one that has a new series, or a new Omnibus coming out of Volume 3.
Yeah, and I have to offer a mea culpa on this one. You know, sometimes we put our thumbs on the scale, on the poll, a little bit too hard. This wasn't a poll, clearly. It came in at 345. And because it came in relatively low the year before, people were saying you should put in kind of cross-line event books for everything, because we could get the first 12 issues of each of these series then it would meet with that first one, Crimson Reign. Then it would meet with Hidden Empire. Then we could have Dark Droids after that. And I was like, there's no indication they're collecting it that way. We only have 2 events. There's no way. Now it kind of does seem how they're collecting it that way, especially because they tweaked the last book so that it would meet up exactly with this book. There are no gaps in between any of these series. So now, weirdly, we have the whole middle portion of this entire 2020 to 2024 era of Star Wars totally collected as of this. We're missing the first 12 issues of everything, and we're missing the last 14 issues of everything, and that could get knocked out theoretically just in 2 more books. But there is a hunger for this era.
Dark Droids, right? But what would you do at the beginning?
At the beginning, you just call it kind of like the age of whatever omnibus, and you just put the first year of each.
Ooh, I like Star Wars Age of Whatever Omnibus. It's a good name.
Because it's not the age of is it the Empire? Because this is all.
Oh, you're talking about Age of Rebellion, Age of Empire.
Yeah, because this is all between episodes 5 and 6.
5 and 6, yeah. So this is definitely the Age of Empire, then, right?
Yeah.
Actually, that's not a bad idea.
No, I'm sure it's probably the direction we're heading. But that said, there is a hunger for this material. The Charles Soule Star Wars series, Star Wars 2020, which is very, very good all by itself. That was number 72 on the poll. So it's just that this particular configuration wasn't like the thing that everybody necessarily thought of. And Star Wars by Greg Pak, which is the other main series in this, was actually number 61 in the poll. It was 1 away from being in the results. So people are hungry for this material. I just think not all of us, me included, were thinking it was kind of going to go this line-wide approach. But if we had taken those other ones off the poll, this would have crushed because everybody would have asked for it. So I do think this one, the ranking was actually kind of deceptive, and that's on us. Sometimes we don't predict things correctly, and in this case, Marvel's going for it.
Man, I love that Bounty Hunter series. I'm hoping that we get an omnibus of that. That stuff was awesome.
This is all good, dude. Like, I think I really had fun. I think it got a little floppy right after Dark Droids. It kind of felt like they were like limping to the finish line on 50 a little bit. Maybe.
Oh, see, I didn't like this. I didn't like Hidden Empire.
You didn't like? I like that.
I loved War of the Bounty Hunters. I thought was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, and Dark Droids itself.
Dark Droids actually was good too. I like Dark Droids, but for some reason I didn't like this. I thought it was. I think it went on too long and it didn't really do anything amongst the miniseries. But that's my thoughts. Nobody's really saying anything about what to add. I assume everybody's
No, they did a good job, y'all. I mean, Marvel, I know it sometimes feel like we beat up on Marvel, but the people, we love it when they pay attention, and we love it when it seems like they have a plan. Taking all of those series to issue number 36, it really kind of makes it seem like they have a plan.
Thank you to our moderators in the chat for keeping tabs on who to get the hell out of here. I appreciate it.
Uh-oh, do we have people behaving badly? I didn't even notice.
No, people not behaving badly. People just behaving stupid. Just one person. Okay, let's move on to your favorite era of X-Men. And when I about dipped out, X-Men Omnibus Volume 2, you crazy mofos made this happen. Collecting X-Men 48 to 52, Uncanny X-Men 329 to 332, Archangel 1, all black and white, baby. X-Men Brood 1 and 2 with that beautiful Brian Hitch art. X-Men Clandestine with that beautiful Alan Davis art. X-Men Unlimited 10. Wolverine 101. Storm 1 through 4. Finally collected in oversized format. We need a Stormnibus. And further Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix 1 through 4. I love that series. Rise of Apocalypse 1 through 4. Also really like that. It wasn't all bad. Fantastic 419. Xavier Institute Alumni Yearbook number 1, which is where that Sam Liu cover comes from. This was ranked 48. Really? Wow. People really like X-Men. So yeah, this is when I said that you all made this happen is because the book that Peter is holding in his hand was originally supposed to be just one book, but people kept asking and suggesting things, and Marvel said, screw it, we'll make 2 books out of it. And that's what they did. They gave us 2 books. So
and this book is pretty hefty, so there was no way. It's not just like Marvel's trying to make an extra dollar. Once people started pointing out all the other miniseries and things that could be in it, especially in the first one, actually kind of picked up more orphan stuff. There was just no way that it could be one book. And so this is, one of those examples of the positive impact of this community, and other people online too, made it known that there were more things that we kind of wanted from this era, and Marvel split it into 2. And in this case, it's really not a cash grab. And I don't know that there's anything else that I could ask to get put into this. I love that they put Rise of Apocalypse in it. I think
Black Knight Exodus is what they added.
Yeah. I think, I mean, the only thing
Was
is...
it needed? Absolutely not. I love it because it's got some early Jim Chung artwork. I think it's Ben Rabb that actually writes that one, if I'm not mistaken. But that killer freaking Jim Chung artwork, man, it's so good. Man, yes, it's exactly how David was like. How much X-Men stuff was published in the 90s? Man, enough to make like 50 Omnis, I swear. It's crazy that my least favorite X-Men event has, by the time it's all said and done, 4 Omnis. 2 Frontal Onslaughts and an Onslaught Aftermath. That's the price I paid to be an X-Men fan.
Now, the one thing I'll say, I'm not trying to be a troublemaker. I don't think it goes into this book, but just looking at the X-Men miniseries from this period, the only thing I have a question about, like, where's it going to wind up? Because we already have the stuff right after Onslaught, right? We have the Onslaught Aftermath.
And then Trial coming out.
Yeah, is X-Men Books of Ascani and Ascani Son, which I guess will just go in the cable line. But since this had Rise,
but this has further adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix.
I know. So I don't necessarily, I'm not saying they should go in this book. In a way, I'd have to look at the exact time they came out. There was
after I left comics. So
yeah.
It was after Onslaught. So maybe I can ask about Trial of Gambit, because it makes sense there, right?
I don't think it's going to be a good read in there, though, because it's so future focused. And so I think they just built it
Further Adventures of
in the cable line.
That's in the past.
Yeah, Further Adventures is Mr. Sinister Origins, which actually I think you kind of do want here to give context to him. And plus it kind of pairs with Rise of Apocalypse, which is also like Apocalypse Origins, and then Apocalypse is in Further Adventures. So yeah, I think this is great, Matt. I just have a little whisper in my head of like, ooh, I wonder what.
No, I do like that. I like that addition. No issue left behind. Looking at you, X-Men Black Sun Magic. One day. One of my favorite announcements, because I love this era and it's a gap filler. I love gap fillers, man. I've got now, we've been collecting these books for 20 years and reading them. And now we've gotten to the era where I get excited about gap fillers. And we're going to have some not just from Marvel, but also DC. Woo, it's so good. Avengers No Road Home, No Surrender. This is that really cool era of Avengers that was coming out. I think it was coming out bi-monthly, if I'm not mistaken, like twice a month.
Baby, weekly, 16 weekly issues.
Love it. 675 and 690 Quicksilver, No Surrender 1 through 5, and Avengers No Road Home 1 through 10, which is, again, really interesting that they're putting this here, because it's the introduction to Conan, to the 616 universe, where you'll see him in the Savage Avengers later on. So that's the story where it takes place. Yeah. So it's cool that we're finally getting this. I'm a big fan of this era. I have the OHC and I have the trade paperbacks of No Surrender and what's it called, the Quicksilver book. But yeah, excited for this one.
Well, and I will point out, this is the one thing in all of these announcements that just wasn't in this form on the poll, because we kind of didn't think that they would cross the streams and put the Conan stuff together with it. So we had No Surrender and kind of like a Al Ewing Avengers book, which actually did really well. It was number 79. But this is the only book they've announced that wasn't kind of predicted in some way. I've said before, and I will say again, I think this is a terrific read. This now for me is my #1 most recommended Avenger Omnibus. It just has a ton of characters. It's just 2 complete stories with no fluff, no middle, no interludes. It's just 2 complete mega stories that were incredibly well coordinated with beautiful artwork. Like what else do you want?
I love it, man. I thought it was good, and I'm glad that we're getting an Omni out of it, because, I mean, unfortunately, those things go out of print, right? And I don't think enough people talk about it. Wrapping up Star Wars Empire is Star Wars Legends Empire, and this is
It's got the wrong content.
Yeah. Strike one, Dom. That's okay. We got this. Give me a second. I need to. Where do I have that written down? Give me 1 second. I'm trying to find where I put the collected editions. Oh, I know where it is. Give me 1 second. I just want to give people exactly what's supposed to be in there. I know I've announced it, and I'm sure some people already know, and I'm sure it's on PRH. I think it's on PRH. I could be mistaken. I don't know. It should be on PRH by now, right? Aren't all the books on PRH? Looking at Peter.
I wouldn't. I don't know her.
BRH. Okay. That's the Hidden Empire. Sorry. It is the Empire. Okay. This is collecting the Underworld, the Yavin Basilica.
Just hit reload. It's on there. And oh, not quite. Hold on. Give me one more second.
Oh, you found it? How did you find it?
Because I know things.
Okay. Did I share?
All right, hit reload.
Okay. That's not reload. Give me a second. Look at you. Fast. Okay. So yes, it's collecting that. Free Comic Book Day 2013, Star Wars Empire 5 through 6, 8 through 13, 15, X-Wing Rogue Squadron half issue, a Star Wars A New Hope, the special edition, 1 through 4, Tag and Blink are dead. Star Wars Infinities, those are so awesome, by the way. That's like their What If. A New Hope 1 through 4, Star Wars 0 through 8, material from Star Wars Tales 1 and 2, 4, 6, 8 through 10, 12, 14, 16, 19 through 20. This is more of the legacy stuff, so it is from the Dark Horse era. Thank you so much for that, Peter. That was quick.
Sure thing.
Number 374 into 2025. X-Men Dawn of X Volume 2. Holy crap. I'm so happy. So when I did talk to Marvel, I talked to David, I did ask, how well the pre-orders were for the first one. And he said that we're happy with the pre-orders for the first one. And usually, he doesn't really say like, that's good enough to get a second one. He usually pretty happy means like, oh, I hope that means we get a second one soon. I get to announce it. People have stated, how does Peter get on a cover before the Uncanny Omar? I don't know how that happened, but I need to talk to David about that. You're going to get tattoos when I come down there. You can put Kill Omar on your...
I was waiting for when we actually talk about this in a Marvel Solicit, which we haven't had the chance to yet, to cosplay it. Even though I got hairspray, I have a red jacket, I'm ready.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be awesome. So this is New Mutants 8 through 12, Marauders 9 through 12, X-Men Fantastic Four for the first time collected in an anthology 1 through 4, which gives me hope that they're actually doing this in reading order. Cable 1 through 4, which we'll talk about here in a second. X-Men 8 through 11, X-Force 9 through 12, Excalibur 9 through 12, Giant Size X-Men Nightcrawler 1, Hellions 1 through 4, Wolverine 1B, because there were 2 stories in the first issue, and then 4 through 5, X-Factor 1 through 3, Giant Size X-Men 1, Empire X-Men 1 through 4, Giant Size X-Men Phantom X1, and Giant Size X-Men Storm 1. Now, I know people have gotten messages, where's Juggernaut? Where's Juggernaut? To me, I think that would fit better in the third one.
It does get released slightly later than this material.
Okay, I haven't asked them yet, but I will be more than happy to ask them if people are like, no, it fits here. You all let me know. I mean, I can just say, hey, could Juggernaut be added unless you have plans? Because I've done that before for it to be included in the third one. The big question is, and oh my God, Peter, you and I could just talk about X-Men Omnis for like 5 hours. I'm sorry. That's just the way Peter and I are. What are they going to do with X of Swords? Like, that to me is one of the biggest questions. Because you know that X-Men to them, the Krakoa, the beginning of the Krakoa era with House and Powers of X, when I try to get them to add that to the first Omni, they said that they didn't want to put it there because it was an event.
Yeah. And
I said, at the very least, can you reprint the oversized hardcover? And they did. So what do you think is going to happen? Because this stops, right? I mean, if we're looking at the content, does it double dip any with swords, X of Swords? No.
Now, personally, what I thought they might do, and I'm not saying anything is right or wrong. This was just my prediction. I thought they would cut this off a few issues earlier because the last few issues of X-Men and of Marauders and of Excalibur are kind of labeled as prelude to X of Swords. And I thought that they would basically do an expanded X of Swords as an omnibus that would have that prelude stuff running into the full contents of the X of Swords OHC. And then they would also have some epilogue material of basically what happens afterwards, which is that Jean quits the Quiet Council. So I kind of just thought, oh, maybe that's how they'll justify recollecting X of Swords. I don't think that was necessarily a better idea. I was just trying to figure out how Marvel approaches this. With this, perfectly cutting off before X of Swords, maybe they just do a straight reprint of X of Swords. I know that typically we'd be like, but Marvel never straight reprints OHCs, but they just did for Hot Box.
They've done that before. Remember, that's how we got the. I remember when they did not want to do reprints of oversized hardcovers. I was like, well, how about you make Fall of the Mutants and the Inferno prologue and the Omnis instead of oversized hardcovers. I mean, they very well could do that with X of Swords, but then where does that leave Juggernaut?
Well, I think the tricky thing about Juggernaut, and I know people in the chat are saying like, oh, it was not edited in the X office or whatever, but the true tricky thing is that it started coming out in September 2020, which means it didn't finish coming out until the beginning of 2021. So it was basically coming out alongside X of Swords. And so it's kind of, it's kind of tricky to try to put it into this book. I mean, they could, and I don't think it like spoils X of Swords, but also you could very easily put it in the book that follows X of Swords, because I think he does meet up with people on Krakoa at the end of it. And so the real question is, when he meets up with people on Krakoa at the end of it, does that happen before X of Swords or after X of Swords? Which I am not here to tell you the answer to that question right now. So I do think they could do a straight reprint of X of Swords, and then immediately have the next omnibus, and the Juggernaut could be in the next omnibus. See, I don't know. It's just hard to say at this point.
So really quick, somebody was asking a really good question. Okay, here we go. How many Omnis do we think we'll get for the Krakoa era? I have all the trade paperbacks, hardcovers, X of Swords, Inferno. Is it worth to upgrade? So that's a two-part question. The first part I can answer. They told me they have mapped out 11 Omnis. I don't know if that includes X of Swords. I don't know if they're going... if they're going to map around it. I wouldn't think that they are, but I also don't know. The second part, is it worth to upgrade? That is a long answer. I don't know. I don't think I can answer that, man. Ultimately, it is up to you. This is for people that have been excited about reading this era, that have been waiting for a oversized hardcover reading experience, and to have it all in one place. It's not necessarily for people that have been getting the Omnis and oversized hardcovers, or just excited about certain creator-centric books. Those books will be coming, as we've seen. We've seen Al Ewing is coming out with Al's getting his own X-Men Krakoa era omnibus. Jerry Dugan is also no Gillan yet, not of that era, but anyway.
Well, they had other Gillan material to take care of.
I know I've shared a story before, but even my own brother texted me going, "Hey, I saw your announcement for that." No, he saw my overview for Fall of House of X and Rise of Powers of X, and he's like, he texted me going, "Do I buy that, or do I wait for the anthology to get there?" And I was like, you work in the... So my brother is a retirement agent. He works in the 401k industry. And about 15 years ago, I asked him, "Hey, I've got some extra bonus coming in this year. What should I invest in?" And my brother texted me going, "I would feel guilty if I told you to invest in something and you lose money." So he was like, I can't suggest things to you. And I remember that text message, and that's how I replied back to my brother when he texted me, "Should I buy this or should I buy the anthology series?" So I said, I don't know, man. Like, the anthology series, we're still like, that's the ending. We're still about 4 to 5 years away. This is here now. And if it doesn't sell, if the anthology series stops selling, like with volume 5, and they drop the project, I would feel guilty if you don't get this down. This stupid thing goes out of print. So that's how I answered him. And I think that's how I kind of answer everybody.
Well, first, I'm always at a lag, as we know from my internet. So first, I want to definitively answer that Juggernaut question. This is from the final pages of Juggernaut number 5, which came out in January 2021, 2 months after the end of X of Swords. And in these final pages, I don't think this is a big spoiler, and I know we don't usually show interior pages on Near Mint Edition. I feel like I'm doing something very special. We can see that there's a Krakoa gate. Xavier is there with Black Tom, and they take a character back through the gate. So since this came out after X of Swords, all these characters are still available after X of Swords, although Eden Manifold there has a slightly different status quo after X of Swords. The question is, where does this scene happen? Basically, that's the $64,000 question about where to put Juggernaut. And I just wanted to point out that there is a reason that I say the things that I say. So then also to answer Omar's question and the chat question about like, should you go in on this now? It's like, are you the kind of person who's been waiting to read Krakoa because you need it all in one omnibus? In that case, we're here. Like, I don't know what people are like, I might wait for them to do it again. I'm like, in what context do you think this is going to come out in some other form? This is the thing, right? You had your chance to buy the like one at a time Hickman, type of series. And I'm sure we'll get more of those. I'm sure at some point we'll get an X-Men by Teenie Howard that has all of the Excalibur stuff. Like they'll make their way through all of them at some point. But if you were the kind of person who's like, I'm going to read it once it's an omnibus, here it is. And I saw a great quote from Kieran Gillan, of all people, in the most recent issue of his indie series, The Power Fantasy, where he said,
loving that, by the way. My life.
Oh, it's so cool. If you love Krakoa, you will love the Power Fantasy because it's basically stuff he held back from using on X-Men and decided he wanted to use it on his own. But somebody in the back of it says they're excited to buy an omnibus of the Power Fantasy. And he says, well, in order to get a longer omnibus, you're going to need to buy some of the singles or some of the trades, or else the omnibus is going to be much shorter than you want it to be, because this book doesn't live and die on the future omnibus sales. It lives and dies on the single sales and the trade sales. And I would say the same thing too about this series of books. Like if you're like, well, I don't know if I want to buy it yet because I'm not sure if they're going to do like omnibus volume 8 and 9, which is really the story I'm interested in. Well, unfortunately, the way to get to 8 and 9 is to buy 1 and 2. And I know that's not a great answer. And I personally have decided I'm not going to buy them, and I'm happy to just read it at Marvel Unlimited, but I don't own any omnibuses from after 2012. So that is consistent with my personal beliefs. But I think this is as good as we're going to see it. And I do think if you want to see this line get up to that volume 11, that they have to keep seeing raucous support for these early numbers. And you as an individual have to decide if you want to be a part of that or not.
So there are your answers. There's one more that I want to touch base on. We're in Crisis. With them collecting Dawn of X Omnis, could you get these Omnis and pass on the Creator Omnis, even though I will probably get them all eventually? That's a great question too. Like, what if they don't make it to the Jerry Dugan era of X-Men and you're going to hold out to get Dawn of X or whatever they're going to call it, like Dawn of X Volume 6, right? Anyway, it doesn't matter what they're going to call it. I don't know. Here's my answer. First of all, I never tell anyone what to do. Never. You do whatever. You're grown people. I assume most of you grown ass people do whatever you want to. It's your money. I tell you what my dumb ass does, and I get it while I can. I've always been a firm believer in that. I'll worry about the double dipping later. I've said that with Transformers. I'm like, holy crap, Skybound has given us a compendium. I would rather have an Omni. What happens if Marvel gives me an Omni like 5 years from now? I'll get the Omni. Like, that's just the way that I've always been. Like, I get things while I can and enjoy them. I don't know if that's because I'm in my 40s and I'm like, I don't know how much longer I'll be here and I want to enjoy that. So, yeah. But ultimately, it is up to you, right? Ultimately, it is up to you. I don't know what kind of advice Crisis has, but that's the advice I have.
I think, and I know we got to move on, and I know not everybody loves X-Men to this depth. But I'm somebody who put a lot of heart and care into Krakoa, and I'll say this. I think at the point that we get a Gillan Omni and a Spurrier Omni, which may or may not ever happen, you will have enough of the core of the Krakoa story that if you're reading in the Creator Omnis, it won't matter that much if you're missing some other stuff. Are you going to have Exterminators by Leah Williams? Are you going to have X-Corp? No. But are you going to be able to follow the story from beginning to end? With the addition of Gillan and Spurrier, you would. And so then the question becomes like, are you ever going to see Fallen Angels in a creator-centric book or a story-centric book? Are you ever going to see Exterminators? Like kind of all of those. Are you ever going to see Children of the Atom? Are you ever going to see New Mutants? All those smaller series, but they just don't contribute as much to the mega arc that ends in that Rise of the Powers of X omnibus that just came out. So if you're just happy with getting the big tent poles, the big legs of the stool, then basically you're just it's a waiting game to see if they do Gillan and Spurrier, and that would be the answer that I'd give you. Is there a guarantee that this is going to go to 11 volumes? No, they very honestly, I'm sure this is going to do well, and I would not be surprised if they at least keep doing the sequential collection to the end of Hickman, which will take another 2 or 3 volumes after X of Swords to get to Inferno, which is where Hickman wraps things up at the end of 2021. But like that's before Ewing, it's before Gillan, so like that will take another 6 books to get to the end. So that's the prognosticating I can offer you, and the advice I can offer you if you're trying to make the decision between the creator omnis and these very full catch everything sequential omnis.
Thank you.
Let's move on, please.
I will move on. Papa Omar,
Yes.
can you ask Uncle David to change Wolverine Not Dead Yet to volume 7, please? I've pondered about that, and I'm like, should I should I ask one of my favors for something like that when we're still getting the book? I can ask why they decided, and it could be just because sales of 5 and 6 weren't great. Kind of answer your question as to probably why it was decided to rebrand it as something new. Because Wolverine isn't the classic line, right? Like that we're thinking of like Amazing Spider-Man or Uncanny X-Men. Wolverine doesn't even have letter pages. Like maybe at one point we'll get to that classic era that was being masterworked.
And the other thing I'll say is the reason not to label it volume 7 is because Larry Hama's run ends in volume 6. It's the end of a numbered run of Wolverine. It's the Wolverine by Claremont and Hama set of books. Volume 7 kind of quote unquote kind of takes him to a whole new direction. I'm not saying it's not volume 7. I'm just saying that like I don't know that there's some intense level of satisfaction that we get from calling that one volume 7 and the next one volume 8 when actually they kind of make more sense with titles because they don't really continue the arc that Hama was telling that ends at the end of volume 6. That's just my personal fan wank on it. You can take that or not.
I'll take it. Black Widow and Captain America by Samney and Wade. Another huge gap filler. Plus, we finally get some of this beautiful Chris Samney artwork in oversized format with those issues. So Black Widow 1 through 12 and Captain America 695 to 704. I get excited for books like this because at one point I was like, what are we going to do with these Captain America issues? They can't be collected anywhere, right? It's not Ta-Nehisi Coates. It's not the Nick Spencer era. And there's not that many to make an omnibus. So I'm glad they put something like this together. So you can put it with your Black Widow books, which there's only one of that Omni, or you can put it with your Captain America Omnis. This fits right between the Nick Spencer Volume 2 and Ta-Nehisi Coates. Thoughts, prayers? What do you think?
I mean, this is a fantastic book. They're 2 fantastic series. The Black Widow series, it's like watching a Mission Impossible movie. And the thing to point out, Samney's name is first here with a reason. If you don't know these 2 series or these eras, Wade very frequently will co-plot with Samney, and Samney will, and they'll even sometimes do it Marvel method, where Samney from their co-plot will just draw and then Wade will script. The Black Widow series is just a full-on action movie. Like that image of her with the bike bursting out of the shield helicarrier, that is the perfect advertisement for the vibe of the series. And I don't know if I ever like Wade more than I like him when he is doing this co-plotting, co-writing with Samney. They're doing it right now at DC on Batman and Robin Year One, which is spectacular. It's just a lot of fun, and it's going to look so good in oversized format. I like the Captain America series. It's fine, but I love the Black Widow series.
The Black Widow. The Black Widow one was awesome, dude. I still like Kelly. Like up until Kelly Thompson's run, this was my favorite, like absolute favorite Black Widow story. All right, let's move on to Avengers Volume 6. You know, I love announcing books like this because I almost brought some of the comments and just hid the names, but I was like, nah, I don't want people to go searching for who put these things, because there are people that are like, I can't believe we're not getting any classic books. What the hell's wrong with Marvel? Like, what's going on? It's all this new trash. Omar, can't you tell your people at Marvel that there's old people like us that collect these books and we want the classics? Like, there's a reason why I kind of work with Marvel in the scheduling of my announcements. I don't announce like all the what I think are going to be the great books first, kind of slowly build up to what I think would be getting better and more love later on. And I think Avengers was one of them. I love the fact that we're getting a volume 6. It's still crazy to me that there's a book in here that's a volume 7 when there was a time when we didn't even know we were going to get a volume 2 of any of these books. That's how far we've come in Omni formats. But this is the classic stuff, man. 150 to 188. Some great Perez artwork in there. Annual 6 through 9, Super Villain Team Up 9, Marvel 2-in-1, Annual 2, Marvel Premiere 35 through 37, 49, What If. I love that they're adding What If to these books too. 3 and 9, a material for Marvel Tales 100 and Marvel Treasury Edition 13. So yeah, the Jerry Conway stuff, Jim Shooter, the Korvac saga, and Michelini, and then of course George Perez and Big John Buscema, and some early Byrne stuff too. So I'm very happy.
Yeah, there's nothing to complain about here. This is Avengers is the line that they have always dogmatically had. 3 Marvel Masterworks volumes to every omnibus. They have never violated it. This is exactly what we would expect. It's Marvel Masterworks 16, 17, and 18, and extra stuff. That Marvel Premiere material, to the best of my recollection, is not in the Masterworks, but doesn't mean this is got additional Masterworks. They just brought in some additional supporting material like the What If as well. So yeah, this keeps us totally on pace. It was highly demanded on the poll. It was 42 in 2024 and then 32 in 2025. And I'm sure we'll see volume 7 appear on the poll next year as we creep ever closer to finally having Roger Stern Avengers in Omnibus. We still have to get through volume 7 before we're there.
Yes, baby. I cannot wait for that day. All right, let's move on to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is collecting a series I honestly forgot about, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. from 2014, the 2016 1 through 10 series. This is another one that Mark Waid wrote on.
Yeah,
and
surprised not to see his name on it, honestly.
Agent Carter, the 50th anniversary, the Cavalry, the Fury one-shot, the 50th anniversary, Mockingbird, S.H.I.E.L.D. 50th anniversary, Quake 50th anniversary, and then Fury 1 from 2023. I don't think that's been collected anywhere either. So this was ranked 643 in 2025. I couldn't even remember the series, I'll be honest with you. This is I assume when it came out in 2014, it was more on the riding the coattails of the S.H.I.E.L.D. show, perhaps? Is that what it was?
Yes, this is very much, and Deathlock had just been on the S.H.I.E.L.D. show, so he was in it briefly. Agent May, who was in the S.H.I.E.L.D. show, is here. So this is very, very much based on the S.H.I.E.L.D. show, and it was very much a tie-in. Now, I will say, this didn't do especially well on the poll. It got a glorious 1 vote. So there's one happy person out there. Feel free to say in the chat if that's you. I will say that I don't think that's a reason that a book shouldn't exist. I think it's because a lot of people kind of like forgot that these things all went together. And once it's in the market and it's a modern S.H.I.E.L.D. book, there will be people that are interested in it. That said, I do think it probably would make sense. And this is one of my few, I'm going to put my thumb on the scale and be bold, to put the Nick Fury Jr. 2017 6-issue series in here, because it's not that long of a book, and where else are you going to put it? And it jumps all the way ahead to a Fury one-shot from 2023. So why would you not put a Fury 6-issue series from 2017? I just think it belongs here.
You mentioned how many issues it was?
6. So it's not going to like break the bank on this book. This is like it's like a 25 issue book.
Okay. Yeah, we can ask for that. James, write that down.
Now, I do see people in the chat saying that Mockingbird should go into this as well, because Mockingbird was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. that was part of her branding, and that series came out right before Secret Wars, and it's only 8 issues. My answer to that is, yeah, it would fit in here great. It would be a great read. I absolutely can see that for us. But I think they could probably just do a Mockingbird omnibus that has all of her classic material, all of her solo stories from the 80s, and then also that series, and it would map just as well into that. So, like, I don't think you're wrong that you could put Mockingbird in here, but I just don't know that I do think that has a potential other home, maybe more than the Nick Fury Jr. series does. The other series that people will sometime bring up that could go in here is the Mark Waid Invisible Woman series from 2019, because it doesn't appear like it's going to be in the Dan Slott Fantastic Four omnibus, and she's an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Shield in that series. But again, it feels a little divorced from this. And there's so much supporting Fantastic Four material from the side of the Dan Slott material that it feels like eventually they could do a Fantastic Four companion with that in it. But because it's written by Mark Waid, it is kind of tempting to put it in here because this has other Mark Waid material in it.
Who was it that wrote Mockingbird?
Chelsea Kane.
That's who it was. Okay. Wasn't that collected with like a No, it was the Hawkeye and Mockingbird series. Is what I was thinking.
that was earlier. That's 2010. Yeah.
Thank you for the super chat, Maniac. Here, I got into X-Men during the Phalanx and followed it all the way to Onslaught. Everyone hates my favorite time period. What matters is that you like it, man. That's all that matters, brother. That's it. There's a lot of stuff I love that people hate. Yo, Omar, when are we getting the Fantastic Four Reels talk? I've had to put a pause on Reels talk. I'm sure it will be back in some kind of form later on. I did like Fantastic Four. You should go and see it though. And love what you want to. That's right. Peter and I do not agree on a lot of things, especially our love of different X-Men eras and titles. So it's okay. It's okay to have a difference of opinion. Let's move on to What If Into the Multiverse, Volume 3, collecting issues 76 to 83, 85 to 114, and the -1 issue. Tiger Eye's Most Wanted Poll 302. And before you even ask, I'm going to quote one of my favorite creators that I've had on the show. When I asked about the Amalgam series, and he was like, you know, how much arguing and fighting could you really do for the reason why a book was left out of a collection? And he was like, sometimes you just gotta bow out. So that is what I'm saying with issue 84 for this, unfortunately. Because of a certain creator. So that's why it's not in here. And I probably will not be asking for it. But I mean, it's one of those things that these are all standalone issues too. Seriously.
Yeah, it's not like it's an X-Men story. It's got Bishop in it, but issues that refer to each other.
More importantly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uncanny X-Men by Kieran Gillan, collecting not his stuff from Krakoa, but his stuff from Uncanny X-Men. This is another one of the gap fillers that I didn't know I needed in my life, but I do. Collecting Sword 1 through 5, Uncanny X-Men 534.1, 535 to 544, X-Men Regenesis 1, Uncanny X-Men 1 through 20, Avengers versus X-Men Consequences 1 through 5. Voted number 75 in Tiger Eye's poll. It was brought to my attention that Generation Hope would be a great addition to the series. And I don't how much of Generation Hope?
Okay. Let's just pump the brakes for a second here.
Pumping the brakes. Not going anywhere. What's up?
So, first of all, this is my favorite run of X-Men. Let's just put that out there.
Oh, really?
I think this makes Claremont X-Men look like Boo Boo the Fool, in my opinion. So but that's me. I love Kieran Gillan. So first I want to get that out there.
Boo Boo the Fool. Okay.
So second, this starts from 534.1, which was kind of the bold announcement of Gillan taking over Uncanny X-Men. He had been co-plotting it with Fraction for the previous 2 arcs, but that's always been collected under Uncanny X-Men by Matt Fraction. At the same time, spinning out of the first of those 2 arcs, Fraction was also writing a sister series to this, which was Generation Hope. Now, he only wrote the first, I want to say 12 issues, it could have been 10, before James Asmus takes on the final few issues right before AVX. However, there's also a lot of other material that's happening around this period of X-Men that does kind of connect to this, which is not written by Gillan. So there's also the X Club miniseries, which has the whole cast of this in it, but it's written by Spurrier, not Gillan. There's Magneto, Not a Hero, which is another miniseries. Magneto is an ongoing player in this book. So I just think that, would it be cool to have Generation Hope also collected here. Yeah, but it's not short because we have the 12 Gillan issues. There's the 5 issues that come after that. And there's an annuals crossover called Journey to the Negative Zone that has an annual from this run. But it's really actually a Generation Hope story. So really, there's already 20 issues to put just in that Generation Hope book on its own. And that's even before we think, oh, would it also have some supporting stuff for this? So that all said, this is why I made that disclaimer at the top of the show. Sometimes you got to think about, is this book going to read well? I think this is a version of this book that will read well. If there's anything missing from it, and Omar, fight me on this if you want to, I'm very interested in your opinion. I think this should have Schism. Because even though it's written by Jason Aaron, right now Schism is only in the Wolverine Omnibus line, which is crazy because it completely alters the course of X-Men. I know that they have X-Men Regenesis in here, which Gillan wrote, which kind of summarizes what happens in Schism, but it's just friggin' crazy to me to have this book of this era and not include Schism. I'm not saying I hate Schism.
No. I understand what you're saying, because what you were saying at the beginning, I was about to interrupt, and I'm like, no, absolutely not. That's a stupid idea. But because I have to come at it from an angle of somebody that, like, say, doesn't get every X-Men omnibus, right? Yeah, you are missing Schism. Although Schism has been available in an oversized hardcover.
Yes, but they ain't reprinting that anytime soon.
Nor would they. It's a bad story. Anyway, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're gonna say no. Like, especially
I'm not even saying ask for it. I'm just telling the people. I'm just letting the people know.
I'm like, anytime I've ever tried to ask for on a creator centric book, and I know it's funny. Somebody just, I think it was I just saw it there. Can they? Yes, from Cody Summers. Can they add Daredevil 162? I try to get Daredevil 162 added to the Frank Miller omnibus, but because it's not Miller, it's Steve Ditko, they were just like, no. So I think that's what's going to happen here. And the same thing with the Chip Zdarsky and Jed McKay book.
Now, let me offer a counterpoint offered to us in the chat by Lord Cadus 13, which is that they pointed out that actually Gillan basically writes his events of Schism in the Generation Hope series as a couple of issues of that. So that is an argument in favor of putting his 12 Generation Hope issues in here, because he basically uses that to write what was happening in Schism since he was not writing Schism.
Okay, but
tricky, very tricky.
Well, the thing is adding 12 issues of Generation Hope,
it changes the book a lot.
That's a big book.
Yeah, and it's already a big book.
I wish they would have left out Consequences, but it's there. I mean, I can always ask, right? They can say no, or they can just ignore it. And
I just think there's a companion book at some point, and I think the companion book has Prelude to Schism.
Well, I'm worried that they're going to leave out those
Magneto,
last few issues, and those will never be collected anywhere, right?
Which last few?
The last few issues of Generation Hope that were not written.
Yeah, that's my fear too. I think
thing.
Generation Hope maybe is its own book now. Is my gut feeling.
Okay, let's just ask and see what happens. If they say,
I think it's one of those, like, do you have a plan for this? Like, hey guys, did you plan for that Generation Hope series? And if they say yes, then you just hands off.
Okay.
That's personally, not that I can tell you what to do, but that's my feeling.
Star Wars: The High Republic 3: Trials of the Jedi, collecting issues 1 through 10 of the 2023 series, which is the Phase 3 series. Revelations, The Acolyte, Kelnaka, The High Republic: Shadows of the Starlight, 1 through 4. High Republic: Fear of the Jedi. Star Wars: High Republic: The Finale. I think I've said it before. The High Republic Volume 1 was the best-selling Star Wars omnibus.
That is crazy to me.
Right? There's a lot of legacy dudes, a lot of legends guys are like, what? But yeah, that's why they're pumping these out. Ultimate Fantastic Four Volume 2. Collecting the remaining of the series, 33 through 60, the annual 2, the X-Men Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four X-Men, the X-Men Ultimate Fantastic Four Annual 1, and Fantastic Four Ultimate X-Men Annual 1, and Ultimate Fantastic Four Requiem one-shot. 105 in the most wanted poll. And both covers by Pasquale Ferry. You have Thanos and Silver Surfer. So, I think this is Mike Carey's era of Fantastic Four, if I'm not mistaken. And the beginning of, one of the big villains, but yeah. I wonder how they're going to collect all the other stuff, like the Ultimate Doomsday and Ultimate. I really thought they were going to put in the Ultimate Galactus trilogy.
Yeah, we all did.
Right? And that's been released in an oversized hardcover, so maybe they'll put that with another book.
I think the attraction here was to just be able to like wrap it up, because this is all the Mike Carey run of this book and extends past that, and it gets to the end of the series and it lets them just put the ultimatum, stuff at the end and kind of tie it up with a bow. I think if they had tried to fit in all of those other things, it would have maybe risked having to split this into 2 books, and maybe they've got another plan for it. But so again, do I like the idea of the Galactus trilogy being in here? Yes, I've been saying that for the past 3 years of Tiger Eyes. Do I think that this is actually just a great reading experience on its own? Yes.
Okay.
And Mike Carey wrote all the way to issue 57, and then somebody else writes the final few issues.
I thought it was the Mike Carey stuff. All right, yeah. I'll let you take over.
My pansexual murder son has his own omnibus, baby.
I can't bring myself to talk about this book anymore. Go ahead.
Daddy's so proud of you, Dakin. So this is Dakin, Dark Wolverine. Dakin was introduced in the pages of Wolverine Origins, everybody's favorite Daniel Way series from 2006, as Wolverine's long-lost, extremely canonical son. He went over to take over the ongoing Wolverine series with issue number 75, which was renamed to Dark Wolverine, as Wolverine was relaunched into Wolverine Weapon X by Jason Aaron. At that same time, Dakin also became the Wolverine of the Dark Avengers, so this is happening sort of to the side of the Brian Bendis Dark Avengers series. This is extremely complete. It has all of the final 16 issues of him in that ongoing Wolverine series, which was renamed from the 2003 Wolverine ongoing. Then he graduates in 2010 as part of the line one relaunch that comes after Second Coming. He graduates into Dakin Dark Wolverine, his own series, which runs for 23 issues and a .1. It also has his involvement in Dark Raid and the list The Punisher. You're saying, why The Punisher? Because that's where Dakin basically goes after Frank, which leads to the events of Frankencastle. So because he's also involved in Frankencastle, it's got some crossover issues with Frankencastle 19 and 20. It's also got a brief crossover with Wolverine Origins 47 and 48, and he crossed over with his sister X-23 in X-23 7 through 9. Wolverine: The Road to Hell was a 2010 one-shot that reintroduced all the relaunched Wolverine books, because both Wolverine 2010, X-23, and Dakin all relaunched out of that story. And then it just has a couple of other small stories from What If Wolverine Father and Dark Wolverine Saga and Dakin Saga. So this is as complete as you could want this book. It's a book, that has every single issue they could have possibly put in there. Literally, it is a copy and paste of the map that we had on the Tiger Eyes poll.
Did you vote for this book?
I did not, because I think it was in my top 60, but we only get 10, regrettably.
You only get 10, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I will say that it's fun. It's Wolverine is kind of like a villain, a very lecherous villain, a very, shall I say, sexual villain. And so if you're kind of like looking for Wolverine by way of Dr. Frankenfurter, this is sort of that vibe.
God, I swear they better add that to the back of the book as a blurb. I am happy you like it. You all remember what I said earlier, that Peter and I do not agree on everything or a lot? Yeah. This is one.
I will buy this. I absolutely will buy this.
I hate that I like
right
the
beside
art
my
of
pillow.
This book. I do love that homage cover there to the classic Wolverine one. by Big
I
John.
don't know which of these I would choose. Honestly, it had really great art throughout, and the great thing was that he's a villainous character, but you kind of rooted for him because he was taking care of more awful people, but he was screwing over a lot of really good people while he did it. So it was like one of those really fun books that Marvel really didn't do a whole ton of after Dark Reign, but like he was popular enough at that time that they kept doing it with him. So it kind of took a very Dark Reign vibe and then extended it for like another 2 years.
Wake me up when we get a Wolverine Omnibus. That's
also my pansexual murder son Dakin. So I'll take it either way, baby. Let's go.
I'm so sorry. Were you done? Was there anything you wanted to add?
No, I think I said all that anyone could ever say.
I don't think I've heard you talk that long about a character in a while. All right.
I mean, not for nothing. How often do we see queer characters with their own titled omnibus at Marvel? That's cool.
Okay, I'll give you that. It's just okay. Never mind. I can't say anything now after that. People take it out of context. I'll get like Omar's on.
Why isn't it coming out in Pride Month? Come on, Marvel, move it to June.
All right.
Okay, let's go.
I don't know what else they could add, honestly.
No, it's perfect.
I think I did see somebody asking, could they add the X-Men Legacy crossover? But that's more of the Wolverine Origins crossover. What was that called? Original
Sin. Just the one sin.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're asking me, and I'm being Crisis with a K, I would say, why would you not put the first arc of Wolverine Origins where he fully debuts? But that's just a potential double dip, and they're probably going to do a Wolverine Origins omnibus at some point, and this is all of his solo material. So like, I get it. It explains who he is just fine. I don't think you need a whole arc to introduce the idea that he's Wolverine's son. Look at him.
This is Daniel Way and Marjorie Bennett, right? Like they're the main
and Rob Williams.
Oh, that's right. Rob Williams.
Yeah. All right. Let's go on to a book people are pretty excited about.
Another huge gap filler for a lot of us that have been getting these big books for years, and that is The Incredible Hulk, Return of the Monster. Somebody asked earlier, since it's not creator-centric, about that Richard Corbin, Brian Azzarello book, Banner, if it can be added here. So let me see that really quick. Incredible Hulk 34 through 76, Hulk Wolverine 6 hours 1 through 4, and Hulk Thing Hard Knocks 1 through 4. This is the book that fits in right after the Hulk Dogs of War original oversized hardcover. That's the Paul Jenkins stuff. It fits right after that and before the Planet Hulk Omnibus, or if you have the Incredible Hulk by Peter David Omnibus Volume 5. So this is the Bruce Jones era of the Incredible Hulk. Yeah. So that's a huge gap filler, man. I know that Dogs of War wasn't a Omni, it was an oversized hardcover, but a lot of people, and I always think of, yes, Omni Nation, this book was for you, man. I thought of him when I was announcing the book. You know what? Actually, this is a good question. Sorry. Really, I'm gonna go check. Isn't Banner in Dogs of War hardcover? That is a good question. I don't remember. Omni Nation? You know? All right, Peter, what were you saying? Well, I'll go look. Let me
I was looking that up too. I believe that this was a really complete OHC to begin with. There wasn't like there was a whole lot else in this period that you could do. The only other series that I ever think of when I think of this period that like maybe could be in it is Nightmerica, but I don't know if that's in continuity, but that came out right at the beginning of this. So I'm not advocating for it. I'm just pointing out.
No, it is in Dogs of War.
It is. Yes. I'm looking at my guide now.
Thank you for that. We just need a Dogs of War reprint, and Omni Nation was already on it. He said, yes, it is. So happy. I've been waiting for this gap filler since Pad Volume 5. I'm really happy that this is coming out, man. It's been a long time coming. Little known.
That's a lot of issues. It's a big book. It's 50 issues.
I was supposed to announce this 2 years ago. It was supposed to come out in 2020. It was supposed to come out like in January of 2025. Yeah, for some reason, but things get moved around, and y'all didn't know, and now you kind of know that. So it is finally coming out. next year, next May. Excellent. Moving on to a book that okay, so let's talk about Thunderbolts, and I'll tell you a little story behind the scenes. Thunderbolts, Dark Reign Omnibus, collecting Thunderbolts 76 to 81. Holy crap, we're getting fight bolts, people.
I can't believe that. I can't believe it.
Well, now I know they're okay with anyway, but we'll come back to that. Desperate Measures, Breaking Point, The International Incident, Reasons and Madness, Penance, Relentless, 1 through 5, Deadpool, 8 through 9, Secret Warriors, 7 through 9, material from Civil War Choosing Sides, and Civil War The Initiative. This is the Dark Reign era of the Thunderbolts. Really quick, this was not going to happen. I'll tell you a little behind the scenes story. I called David on, it was in December, and we talked on the phone, and just ideas that I've been hearing and people. And, I was like, oh, did you look at the poll that I sent? And he was like, yeah, we looked at that. And we talked about Dawn of X and Agent Ben Omnibus, and he was like, yeah, that's a really good idea. Let's do that. When I brought this up, he was like, he stopped me, man. And he never really did that. He was like, Thunderbolt. No, we're not. We're never doing Thunderbolts. They sold awful. And I was, and I think I've gotten in, our relationship has got, I consider him a friend now. So I was okay to be like, I know you think that Thunderbolts sold awful, the classic stuff, but this is an era that people really like. Like, this is a different era of Thunderbolts. I got people into the Thunderbolts. And I remember him thinking, like, he was like, you're right. I need to quit like thinking about myself and things I'm into. So people really like this era, huh? And I was like, yeah, they do. I swear, I don't like this era. But
what?
I don't. I never liked this era. It's not my Thunderbolts. I like classic Thunderbolts.
Oh my gosh, Omar, hashtag not my Thunderbolts.
Don't start that hashtag. I don't like this era. I never liked this era. I thought it was so stupid and predictable. And but again, these are my opinions, which is why I don't really do reviews of books. I do overviews because I want people to be hooked on the premise and the artwork. And honestly, yeah, this never did it for me. It's miles better than Fight Bolts. That's for sure. But
let me add a counterpoint as somebody who does enjoy this era of. So I think that Thunderbolts always it's interesting that it started out as a very dark book in a way, because it was all these villains trying to get what they wanted by being heroes. But throughout that whole original kind of like 5 or 6 years of Thunderbolts, where they're mostly kind of like almost sort of heroes, it's not actually very dark. They kind of keep getting redeemed. And so this is really the first time in all Thunderbolts, which I do think I've read every single issue that's in this. This is really the first time when we get to see the Thunderbolts go full dark. Like, what if somebody then took the name recognition that they have as a semi-heroic team and they totally corrupted it by actually saying, you know what, we're just going to do bad things all the time. And so it's an interesting kind of dark mirror of them. And I think for me, out of all of Dark Reign, this is the book that kind of like exemplifies the best what Dark Reign was going to be, to the point that they stole the whole vibe of this book to create Dark Reign and to launch Dark Avengers out of this run. So I think it's like, if you like that Bendis Dark Avengers, you could have called this Road to Dark Avengers.
Ironically enough, this title was changed to Dark Avengers during the Jeff Parker era.
Yeah.
It's I'm glad we're getting it, because there's so many people since announcing Thunderbolts 1, they were like, oh my God, can they just do a Dark Reign omnibus? I'm not exaggerating. I'm not kidding. It was a book that people kept bringing up over and over and over. So I was, I only talk to David on the phone maybe twice a year, sometimes 3. And I was like, I'm going to take my one phone call. I'm going to push these books that people have been asking for towards the end of the year to get people excited about things. So Agent Ben Omnibus was one of them. And then the Dawn of X, this, and there was another one that is not in this round of announcements. Maybe it'll be in the next one. We'll see. So very happy for you people that have been fighting for this, wanting this. It is finally coming out. It is a big, another one of the gap fillers, right? Because this happens before the Jeff Parker era of Thunderbolts, the Uncaged. So it's like volumes 1 through 3. Well, if you want to be a stickler for continuity, really, some of these issues take place before volume 3, but I ain't getting into that. That's the Fight Bolts issues. John
So
Arcudi.
why don't you explain for people who do not know the lore?
I'm sorry.
Fight Bolts. And why it's interesting that it's here.
It's interesting that it's here because it was a forgotten era. Because I know you and I have talked about this. So Thunderbolts, unfortunately, the classic stuff got, like at one point Marvel was like, that's enough. We need to redo things. We need to think outside the box. So they kind of fired Fabian Nicieza and brought in John Arcudi to make it into a Fight Club type of story. That's why it's called Fight Bolts, by the way.
Which was very hip at that time. That was the culture. Like, let's flash back.
I guess it was. It's only been available in trade paperback, and long forgotten. Like, a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people didn't like Fight Bolts. So what happened was years later, when New Avengers kicked off, they decided, we need to bring back Thunderbolts. Fabian Nicieza had written I think it was not a Citizen. Yeah, no, it was a Citizen V series. Yeah. Like, it was like 6 issues of that. So what they did was, with the renumbering, like, they were like, okay, we're going to start over again with a new number. And they went back to the classic line. And a lot of us, I know Peter and I did this, consider that Citizen V kind of like those missing issues, 76 to 81.
Yeah, it was one of those times where, like, a company kind of, and you see Marvel and DC both do this, we're like, ooh, we're going to fill in some hidden years so that the numbering maps up. And that's kind of what that Citizen V series was, sort of.
So that's why when they left it out of the third omnibus, I think all of us were like, yeah, that's okay. That makes sense. They were replaced by Citizen V issues. So it was really surprising when I got this and I saw the mapping. I was like, holy crap, they're actually adding the long forgotten Fight Bolts. And it's only been, like I said, available in trade paperback, and you can read it for yourself and judge it for yourself. You may end up liking it and thinking, wow, this is the best thing that Marvel has ever written. That is
here's my question. Is it going to be at the front of the book or the back of the book?
Good question. Maybe in the back. Right?
I think it should be at the back.
I think the back. I think the back makes sense, right? Put it in the front. People are going to be like, what?
What is this?
People have been hyping up this Dark Reign era for such a long time. Penance.
But this is perfect. I mean, this has every issue that we could have possibly suggested. It's the exact map of what we had on the poll. It completely fills the gap between the two existing Thunderbolts omnibuses, and it means we have all of Thunderbolts all the way through after Secret Wars in 2015. In Omnibus.
Dark Reign Thunderbolts are my first Thunderbolts. Absolutely. A lot of people's first Thunderbolts, right? So...
And Mike Deodato, baby.
I like what you said about how he kind of shaped Marvel Comics in the way that they were like, we're going to make everything into Dark Reign. Warren Ellis is really writing this thing that we kind of make our entire line into Dark Reign and kind of let into.
I truly believe that. Right. I'm not saying that as like a bit. Like, I really thought you can see Marvel do this sometimes where one book is kind of setting the tone or like leading the line in some way, even if it's not the top selling book. And sometimes it is. And this was very popular at the time. And Marvel's like, ooh, what if we like lean into that and make it a theme? And I truly believe that's what happened with Dark Reign. I have no insider info ever, but that is just the way that I've always assumed things happen. Okay.
I like this Red Band Ewoks idea, by the way. That's awesome.
There was a great Ewok series earlier this year by Steve Orlando. Did anybody read that?
Oh, I liked it.
It was great. It was really good. Laura Braga art. So good.
The morning I asked about this, it got announced. Felt like Christmas. Oh, that's such a good feeling, man. That's one of my favorite things that I saw. I look at all the comments, right? That's what I was trying to say earlier. I actually clipped some comments because it's always the same repetitive thing of like somebody going, who asked for this garbage? But my favorite one that came this year was immediate. Okay, so it was like sandwiched in, right? The first comment, like seconds, and I mean seconds when it came in, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're getting this. The second comment was, who asked for any of these books? This is straight up garbage, Marvel. The third comment right underneath it, I mean seconds right after that comment was made, was like, I'm getting all 3 of these books. I've been waiting years for this. And that kind of summarizes what the comments are like when making announcements. Web of Spider-Man 2, collecting Web of Spider-Man 35 through 72, Web of Spider-Man Annual 4 through 6, Spectacular Spider-Man 143, 146 through 147, 150 to 153, 158, Amazing Spider-Man 312 to 313, 329, and Incredible Hulk 349. Voted number 65 in Tiger Eye's Most Wanted poll. Love that Hobgoblin cover. Such an awesome cover, man.
I mean, what a cool, bold cover for an omnibus. Like, Spider-Man's not even on it. So cool.
Right? Well, he's not really on, well, I guess he's sort of in the Hulk one. But yeah, I'm surprised we got this before Spectacular, and I saw the comments. Same thing. People were really surprised this came before the Spectacular Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 2.
Well, and what's really notable about this is there's no precedent for this. There's no Marvel Masterworks. There are no Epic collections. This is material that they are prepping directly for Omnibus. And if you look at the slate of what we've got left in the 80s and 90s, there are very few books that could go directly to Omnibus. There's really not a lot of series that aren't already collected. And so kind of this, it really shocks me, but, you know, we know that Masterworks kind of was on its way to a hiatus. And we also know that Marvel has shown a lot of hesitation to get into the Amazing Spider-Man side series in Epic, although now's the time, since there's only a few Epics left in the main classic line of Amazing Spider-Man Epics. So I kind of am I'm very thankful because I really like Web of Spider-Man, and all these issues being an omnibus means we're also going to get them on Marvel Unlimited. It means they're going to be available to collect in other formats. So, I mean, and people who love to have a Spider-Man shelf, this is a huge hunk of missing Spider-Man. And it's exactly what we mapped. We exactly predicted it would end on issue number 72.
We're pretty good at what we do. And what we do is mapping. And that's pretty boring. Can't pick up chicks at bars with like, what do you do for a living? I map comic books, baby. I think, yeah, I'm very surprised we didn't get Spectacular Spider-Man Omni Volume 2, but I'm very happy with this, meaning that I'm sure we'll get a Spectacular Spider-Man 2. I think they're probably holding out on Spectacular 2 because it will double dip heavily with Roger Stern's Spider-Man. And because remember, Roger Stern's Spider-Man starts off with his Spectacular run, and that one has been out of print for about a year or so. Oh, hold on a second. I wanted to go back to this comment just to clarify. So Marvel is not reprinting. No, that is not what I said. No. Please don't take that out of context. They have just slowed down reprinting for this batch of books. The reprints will never stop reprinting. Reprints will come back. We've seen that happen before. And any of these months, they can add reprints too in the solicitations. So I hope that answers that question.
And I want to echo something I said earlier on the Excalibur book. This is an example of Marvel keeping up the pace. The first Web of Spider-Man Volume 1, you'd be forgiven if you haven't even bought it yet. It just came out in March of this year. Web of Spider-Man Volume 2 coming out May of next year means they are following up 15 months later. They saw the pre-orders for Volume 1. Clearly, they did pretty well because they're coming out with Volume 2 while everybody's memory of getting Volume 1 is still fresh. I really think that's the way to do it with these classic lines of omnibuses, and Marvel and DC both have realized you cannot wait years and years to give somebody another volume because a lot of them have forgotten by that point. So, pardon me, we're seeing DC do it with the Superman, like the Triangle Year stuff. We're seeing Marvel do it with Excalibur 4 and this. I think this is kind of the new era we're in, which is like strike while the iron's hot, if the iron is hot. And I'm very happy to see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are there any 90s stories of X-Men not in Omni format yet? Magneto War hasn't been collected, right? Magneto War was late 90s.
Colleen Siegel, that immediately follows the one that we're about to talk to, has never been an omnibus.
Cyclops fighting birds, baby. Yeah, I guess they could
do Unlimited. Yeah,
they could do that, right? Like, what was it? The Cerebro. What was it called? The Cerebro
Cyber or anything else?
Yeah, the Cerebro War, something like that. Yeah. We still
it's
have
all mapped, baby. We mapped it all. Yeah.
Star Wars Legends Legacy, Volume 1. Probably the most, I know this. It is the most requested classic Dark Horse era omnibus.
People are rabid for this. Rabid.
And I think, what was the other one? Clone Wars is up there too. But this is the one. Oh my gosh. Since announcing the Dark Horse era omnis, this is the one that people are like, oh my God, what's going on, dude? Where is Legacy? That's the best Star Wars. So this is collecting Legacy 008 and the half issue, the half issue, and then 1 through 36 and issue 41. So this will have a total of 2 volumes. Those covers are killer, man. The one on the right is badass. Actually, the one on the right, I think it's Travis Charest, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is the era of Star Wars that I actually got the tail end. These are the 2 epic collections I wanted to keep before I got rid of all my Star Wars epic collections years ago. I'm like, I really like this legacy stuff. And I had volumes 1 and 2, and I didn't want to get rid of it. And I ended up getting rid of everything. But so I'm glad that it's coming out now in omnibus format. Holy crap. Voted number 40. Is this the highest voted Star Wars book in the Tiger Eyes poll?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let me take a look.
And also, I'm wondering what's left. I mean,
yes,
we have Clone
this
Wars,
is the highest voted Star Wars book.
Okay.
Oh, no, Clone Wars. Clone Wars is the highest voted. Then this.
So we've got Clone Wars left, and I announced, what was it? The Empire. I don't know what's left for Star Wars in the Dark Horse era.
Give me one moment, and I'll answer that question for you definitively.
Awesome. I hope they don't stitch the 2013 series to the second half at least. Menace Revealed. Thank you all. Thank you. Menace Revealed. Clone Wars 1 and 2. Menace Revealed 1 and 2 is what's left. Holy crap! Really?
Yeah.
My voice just cracked.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I pulled up the list.
That is insane. We've had so many Star Wars. I've only been announcing books since 2019. That means in 5 years we've gotten a crap ton of Dark Horse, and there were a lot
in 2 formats because they finished. Right, we're done the Epic collections finally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. Yeah,
Star Wars baby sells books. There's people we've never met who will never talk to us, and will never know that there are superhero omnibuses who are buying all of these books.
Man, that's awesome. I'm so happy. That makes me happy that we're getting all this stuff finally collected. And then maybe one day they'll reprint, if they get voted on enough, they'll reprint the classic Marvel stuff. Because at one time that stuff was heavily liquidated, but I know people really want it. Okay, let's move on to your favorite X-Men, The Trial of Gambit. Remember when I said there are 2 of my least favorite retcons in this? This is one of them. All right, anyway. Uncanny X-Men 341 to 350. The -1 issue. Adjectiveless X-Men 62 to 64 with that beautiful Carlos Pacheco artwork. The Imperial Guard that you all wanted added to the Onslaught Aftermath is moved here. Saw like an Archangel, Crimson Dawn 1 through 4. Gambit 1 through 4. That's the 1997 series, not to be confused with the classic series. Bishop Xavier Security Enforcer, which has never been collected anywhere. Marvel Fanfare 4 through 5, Long Shot 1, and material from Marvel Valentine Special 1. The fact that they have Marvel Fanfare 4 through 5, is Rob still watching? Hold on a second. He is. Trial of Gambit is missing Marvel Fanfare 2 to 3. It's the Wolverine Wendigo story, Hulk 454 to 457. Dude, I think Marvel Fanfare 2 to 3 might go into a Wolverine omnibus.
Yeah, I think it'll be Wolverine.
That's what's going on. But Hulk 454 to 457. Oh, that's the X-Men Apocalypse story.
I would like that.
That's a good idea. You're right. It's when he becomes War, right? Or one of the Horsemen. I didn't even think about that. Still mad they didn't include Uncanny Origin issues in the 90s X-Men Omnis. But those were retro series, right? Is that you're talking about like the Origins Colossus, Origins Jean Grey? Material from the X-Men. No, it wasn't an X-Men swimsuit. It was just the Marvel swimsuit. It should have been in Wolverine 5. Well, then we're asking for it here. Why wasn't it in Wolverine 5?
Because it probably wasn't in the Epic collections.
I really could have. That's the one with Ghost Rider wearing that, like when he had that red jacket during the 90s, right? Is it Pop Mon that drew those, if I'm not mistaken? Please correct me if I'm wrong, because if I'm thinking of those issues, those have to have been collected somewhere, because I remember reading them.
I'm working on it.
No, the Uncanny Origin series from 1996 that were 99 cents. Oh, those. I see what you mean. Okay, but those actually worked as retcon series, right?
Yeah, I mean, Marvel has just kind of treated those kind of as a redheaded stepchild.
Ooh, wait a second. Team X and X-Men Liberators, though. Actually, Team X. Kevin Lau. I think
That's from much later.
Team X? Really?
No, Liberators. Liberators would be in the next book.
No, Team X, I thought. Because no. Wait. Team X is when Bishop is with Deathcry. Or yeah, right?
Not yeah, I personally would put that in the Bishop Omnibus. That's from 1999. Again, much later than
this. That's later than, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. No, I think the Hulk issues, I mean, again, Marvel doesn't tend to pull in X-Men guest appearances from other people's ongoings, but it's a pretty significant arc. I couldn't complain. And I did just chase up some data on those Marvel Fanfare issues. They've only ever been collected in Spider-Man by Joe Kelly Omnibus, because Marvel Fanfare was nominally a Spider-Man team-up book, but and he, I guess, wrote those 2 issues, but they have never been in an X-Men book. So, but the thing is, Wolverine is in both of them. So there is an argument to be made, since the Wolverine line didn't grab him.
Okay. Let me, I just wrote it down. Wait, James is writing this down. Shoot. Thank you, James. Okay. I'll ask about those, the 2 and 3, right? The Wendigo, Hulk, and Wolvie story. And I'll ask about Hulk. Although that's been collected in the, what's it called? Peter David Omnibus Volume 4.
Yeah. So this is basically, for those of you who don't follow all of the X-Men line in great detail the way we do, this is X-Men Onslaught Aftermath.
But it's an event called the Trial of Gambit. Why is he
on trial? It's not really an event. The Trial of Gambit is like 349 and 350.
It's an event for me. I had to step away for a while. Okay, wait a second. Let's see. People are, I'm just calling, that way just for what's an event. It's so bad. X-Men Liberators 1 came out the same time as Uncanny.
Yeah, it's later. Y'all, you gotta trust me, man. I know.
I wasn't questioning. I was just reading what the chat said. X-Men Alpha Flight. X-Men Alpha. That wasn't until the Birds. That I remember. That's because I do 1998. So yeah, that would be later. I think it's fair to ask for Team X, but Team X doesn't happen until Bishop is in space. Remember? This is before Bishop goes to space. Because Bishop is with Death. What is that freaking woman's name? Deathbird. Not Deathcry. Deathcry is the Avenger. Deathbird, yes. So remember, they get separated and he's in his own mission with her. There we go. All right. I have Onslaught and Aftermath. Should I get this too, since it's an Aftermath? Aftermath and call it a day after that. I have the Krakoa stuff in OHC. It's enough X-Men for me. It's never enough X-Men, Bernie. You know the answer to that. This kind of, it's not much of an Aftermath. I don't really think there's any kind of Onslaught impact in any of this stuff. I love the fact that we're getting Longshot, though. That's nice. All right, let's move on to Is John still watching? I know John's a big fan.
Paging John.
Invincible Iron Man Volume 4. The nose era of Iron Man. Iron Man 68 to 112. Iron Man annuals 3 through 4. It is a common thing to see in the comments. People feel forgotten. People feel like Marvel doesn't respect the classic era. So it makes me happy when things like this I get to announce, and then people are like, they calm down a little bit. Now, it's always funny to me, though, like the people that are complaining, most of them calm down. They're like, oh my gosh, they actually did it. And I see the same name pop up when I'm like, oh man, I hope he's happy when I announce this. And it never fails to amaze me that it's always somebody going, well, they chose really crappy covers.
I like that main cover.
I love the cover on the left, man. That's great. Which one are you getting, John? John is here. That's right. I am here. I'm so glad, man. I was so happy. I thought of you when I announced this, man, because you're like one of the 12 guys that love Iron Man. And this is the classic stuff, which we know, doesn't really sell that great, but they're continuing with the volume number. So it makes me happy that we have Iron Man Volume 4. So remember, Volume 5 is very important to pre-order, like with these books, especially the old ones.
Well, and for those of us who are elderly, we remember Omar, Pepperidge Farm remembers, and so does Omar, that if you think back to the 10 years ago, Marvel could not sell you an Iron Man or a Incredible Hulk omnibus. Iron Man got to number 2, and then it was kind of like dead in the water. They all got discounted because even with the films, Iron Man just did not sell omnibuses.
They even had like a film cover variant, and it just didn't move. They're heavily liquidated. So it surprised me when I announced the third one, and so soon a fourth one. Because when did the third one come out? Oh yeah, this is something that I've seen. Issues 113 and 114 are missing.
Yeah, I mean, we got to get into it.
That leads directly into the oh my gosh, the David Michelinie omnibus, right? That's what you're thinking to match with.
So let's talk about the dates, then let's talk about those issues. So the original Invincible Iron Man Volume 1 omnibus is from 2008, and Volume 2 is from 2010. Then we didn't get another one for 14 years in the classic line.
You'll hear that in the back? Hear that in the back?
What?
I was asking the people in the back. Did y'all hear what he said?
Then, so they reprinted Volume 1 in 2023. They reprinted Volume 2 in 2024. Then we got Volume 3 in 2024. So this is less than a 2-year gap, about a 20-month gap to get Volume 4. So again, keeping up the pace, and we certainly appreciate it. Now let's talk about those 2 issues. For people who have the very famous Iron Man by David Michelinie, Bob Layton, and John Romita Jr. omnibus. That starts in issue 115, and it collects to issue 157. That's more or less a Masterworks map. There's not a lot of other things. I think there's like one annual that we just have to squeeze into the next Masterworks or something like that. But it works if we wanted to leave it in the omnibus line the way that we did with Captain America by Kirby. Here's the thing. That book is from 2013. It has never been reprinted. So, and it did not line up with Masterworks breakpoints. This book, ending with issue 112, ends at a Masterworks breakpoint, which is the way that this line has always been mapped. This is exactly following the 3 Masterworks per omnibus rule. It collects Masterworks 10, 11, and 12. So basically, look, I hear you. And I had that omnibus. I owned it. I think I sold it before I moved to New Zealand just because I don't collect a lot of Iron Man and omnibus. I absolutely hear all of you who are saying, but that's an existing omnibus. They could very easily rebrand that and re-release it just like they did with Kirby Cap. You are not wrong. But also, that was now 13 years prior to this coming out. And I could also see the argument that Marvel just wants to put that under the rug and reissue that next omnibus. I'm not saying either one of us is right or wrong. I'm just giving you information. So there you go. I've said my piece, and I've explained why this doesn't meet up with that book, because it obeys the Masterworks and because that book is 12 years old.
And the problem will be, I don't have the info with me right now, but I can't remember how high that book gets ranked in our most wanted reprint polls. I don't think it makes it to the top 50, does it? Or does it come close? Know. 2 issues won't destroy their mapping plan. Such a small ask not to screw over those who bought the old one. I'm going to stop you right there, Marco, because I'm going to tell you something right now. I almost lost my connections at Marvel over 2 issues of Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volume 5. It was very traumatic. Mappers, I'm not going to say any names, of course, are very territorial, right? Imagine doing your job and you're really good at it, and somebody comes along that's like, hey man, this guy on YouTube saying you should add these 2 issues into whatever it is that you do. It kind of feels like that. So yes, they are very serious about, they take pride in their job, and it's just coming in with 2 issues. I'm not exaggerating. Those 2 issues added to Uncanny 5 was like pulling teeth. And I finally had to ask my favorite, my favor of once a year to get that made. So yeah, just saying, it is it's a big deal to people like that. Yes, they are like IT people. I can't get away. But I mean, I can ask, right? And they can say no. But oh my gosh, for that X-Men book, and then we ended up getting what's it called? Mutant Massacre Prelude. Let me get these 2 super chats really quick, and then you can give me the info. Viva Peru Caraja, for the sweet blood of Christ. Who do I have to get a reprint of Iron Man by Michelinie Omnibus? We were just talking about that because I was asking Peter where that shows up in the poll every year. Marvel should show better respect by not printing Iron Man. This stuff is terrible. Man. Is John still here? Did John catch that?
So look, here's the other thing that I will offer you here, which is that Marvel Premiere number 44 is the only issue that would be missing from that McElhaney book if it were to mirror the Marvel Masterworks. It's literally just missing one issue. And if you look at how the epics are mapped, there's an epic that runs from 92 to 114, so half of this book. And that epic, which is called 10 Rings to Rule the World, it's Epic Collection Volume 7, it just came out this year, has Marvel Premiere 44. So actually, what's really interesting here is if they truly wanted to make it so they could just do a straight reprint of that McElhaney book and it would be perfect, all they would need to do is include Iron Man 113 and 114, which is exactly how the Epic Collection is mapped, and Marvel Premiere 44. So it's, yeah. And then everything will make sense. It'll line up with the Epic Collections. It'll line up with the Masterworks, kind of like, so it's not asking for a lot, but I'm not saying that Omar should risk his life and limb. I'm just saying how small the change is.
I know who the mapper is on this book. I'm just gonna say where that's gonna go. So let's just move on to this.
I know. I'm just trying to educate the people, my friend.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for that information, by the way. Wolverine Not Dead Yet, who I think it was G Roy, my dude G Roy was trying to get this rebranded to Volume 7.
It's dead, your volume numbers.
All right. Wolverine 119 and 158, Wolverine Annual 1999, Wolverine Black Rio 1, Wolverine Cable 1, Stephen Platt artwork, baby. Wolverine Punisher Revelation, and that is the 1 through 4 series, and Iron Fist Wolverine 1 through 4, plus Hulk 8. So this was ranked 91. This is technically Wolverine Volume 7.
Once again, this is a perfect map. It is exactly what we predicted on the poll. It's not because we are incredibly smart and attractive, although we are. It's because this is exactly how the Epic Collections are mapped, and the Wolverine Epic Collection line is very comprehensive.
It does not have my Charlton Chew issue, so it is not the perfect map.
I don't want to talk about it, Omar. I don't want to get heated.
And the Maverick, a man after my own heart. I love that Maverick series. Oh my God, that needs its own omnibus. Thank you, Jim Chung, again for the win. I love that guy's art.
Isn't that wild that Maverick had a series? Like, let's just reflect on that.
You know who's in that series, don't you? Like, Bolt is in that. Bolt, the kid from X-Men Unlimited 8, and later on New Warriors. I guess it was Volume 2. And then later on, the Weapon X series, he wasn't treated nicely there. Yeah.
And that would figure, by the way.
That makes me miss Lars even more.
Because you need the contrast between us and Lars. They don't understand. You know what's funny? Somebody was watching some stream, I think it was Superman Evergreen, who doesn't know the lore, the Lars lore. And they were like, you guys are so cruel to Lars, and he seems like such a nice person.
He seems like a nice person. He's got you fooled, my friend.
And I said, well, that's you have not seen Lars' character arc is the problem that you're having there.
Lars will be joining us for the DC stream on Wednesday, so very much looking forward to seeing.
Am I coming to that? Where's my invite?
Maverick. You said make it 6:30, and I said okay, done.
Okay, well then I'm coming. So by the way, that Maverick 12-issue series does happen during this because this runs from 1997 to 2001. So there you go.
Oh, thank you so much. Capitalism, baby. Totally forgot about those. Was it shortly after the 4 issue? Oh, you already answered that one. Yes, he did not die. That was just a series by, I think, Not Dead Yet was Steve Scrooge and Ellis, right? Working on that.
I want to say yes.
Then, oh man, this book has a lot of creators because they could not keep a single creator on the book. Lionel Francis Yu does stick around for a while, but I mean, you even have Eric Larson writing some of the stories. You have Rob Liefeld writing some of the stories in here that, of course, feature Deadpool. Fantastic Four by Dan Slott coming out in June, collecting the first 24 issues of Fantastic Four, the Wedding Special, Empire Zero, Fantastic Four Empire Fallout, Fantastic Four, the Fantastic Four Yancey Street, Negative Zone, and Grim Noir. Ranked number 71 in the Tiger Eyes poll. and you have an Ezad Ribic cover with a Alex Ross cover. So, man. Oh, it was you and Ellis. Thank you so much. Scrolls comes in Revolution later on. Thank you for that. This stuff has been available in oversized hardcover format, but now it is coming out in Omni format. And this, so it goes the Jonathan Hickman run. Then there was a short-lived James Robinson run, which is freaking amazing.
Skipped one. Try again.
I hate the Matt Fraction run so much. I always skip it. I think subconsciously my brain's like, don't do it, man. Don't say it, Matt Fraction. Okay, let's try it again. Come on, brain. Jonathan Hickman, Matt Fraction's run, which is available in omnibus format. And
Nolly's near you.
Sorry, short-lived, wonderful James Robinson run that doesn't get enough praise at all. Only available in 3 trades. And then there was a big hiatus, right? We got like no Fantastic Four comics. Fantastic Four was canceled after Secret Wars, and people were blaming, of course, the industry, like, because Marvel doesn't own the rights to the Fantastic Four movies. They don't want to make Fantastic Four comics, and that was gone for a few years, almost 5 years, I want to say. And then it came back with the 2-in-1 series, which is Chip Zdarsky's amazing series, and then Dan Slott was. He was announced to be the new writer of the Fantastic Four, coming off of Spider-Man after 10 years on Spider-Man, which he still can't get away from because he's still writing Spider-Boy and things like that. But yes, that's where this comes in. This is before the Ryan North series.
And I mean, this is exactly half of the series. It makes perfect sense. It was always going to be a tight squeeze to get the entire series all into one. I guess my only disappointment is, as I mentioned earlier, there are some side series that are not by Dan Slott in this period. And I was kind of hoping if they split it into 2, they would put them in here. I'm not asking for them. I know that's not how Marvel does things when they have a creator name on there. But in this same time period, there was Invisible Woman 1-5, which we've already discussed. There was also a Future Foundation series 1-5, which was by Jeremy Whitley. And then also in 2019, which I think is still within this frame, there's a 3 one-shot series called Prodigal Son that had Fantastic Four Prodigal Son, Silver Surfer Prodigal Son. Not by by Peter David, not Dan Slott. So I kind of was just hoping that if they were going to split it into 2, because it was going to be it was going to be as long as Immortal Hulk if they tried to do it all in one, which is, I think, an absurdly huge book. And it works because it's like one giant story. This story doesn't need to be all in one place, so I respect that they broke it into 2. I guess I was kind of just hoping they would put some other things in it, but I just know that's not how Marvel does things. It's called Fantastic Four by Dan Slott. One day in the far-flung future, we'll get a Fantastic Four companion, and we'll have all that other stuff.
In the far, far future. Better add that to the poll next year. All right.
No, baby.
Spider-Man Brand New Day Volume 3. So wrapping up Brand New Day, speaking of Dan Slott, right before his big time. So Amazing Spider-Man 612 to 647, Amazing Spider-Man Annual 37, Dark Reign the List, Amazing Spider-Man Presents Black Cat 1-4, The Many Loves of Spider-Man 1, material from Web of Spider-Man 2-7, 12, Spider-Man Origin of the Hunter 1, and Spider-Man Grim Hunt, the Kraven Saga. Voted 23. I really, really thought this was going to be called
The Gauntlet.
But it makes sense if the Spider-Man movie is called Brand New Day. You might as well stick to Brand New Day and make it a volume 3. American Sun Mini. Thank you for bringing that up. Is that on it's not in the second one? Let me double check. Give me 1 second. I guess I could always ask.
I don't know if it is.
It was in the complete collections, wasn't it? I never got the complete collections. I got the standard size hardcovers. Let me see if it's in the second one. If it's not, I definitely need to ask for that. Is it good? Absolutely not. It's awful. But does it need to be added? Yes. Should you judge it for yourself and read it for yourself?
No, I don't even think it was in the complete collections, Omar. I think you're making that up.
I never got them, so I don't know. I could be making up like 95% of my content. Maybe I don't have a contact at Marvel and I'm making up all this crap as I go.
Yeah, them and your ex-girlfriend from Canada.
Hey, you leave Tina alone. All right. Spider-Man Brand New Day Volume 3, baby. You're getting it.
So here's the thing. It had the Brand New Day Complete Collection had an American Son sketchbook, but I don't know if it actually had
the American Son miniseries.
Hold on. I'm trying, bro. So the thing is, it was collected not as the American Son. It was collected as the Osborn Identity, but the actual issues are called Amazing Spider-Man Presents American Son. And I don't think it was, and it's never been recollected. So there you go.
James, can you add that? Because that's a good idea. Yes, they do love the Brand New Day synergy. You are right.
Now, I will say, this is immediately leaping to the top of my list of the most recommendable Spider-Man omnibuses. I just think this is a really fun run to read. And I guess my one argument about it being called Brand New Day #3, which I think is fine and will help sell copies, because again, Marvel's striking while the iron is hot. They know the movie is going to be called Brand New Day. They came out with one in 2024, one in the beginning of 2026, and then this will come out later in 26. That's wild. But I just think that the one positive of it being called the Gauntlet is you can just pick this up. You really do not have to have read all of Brand New Day to enjoy this. It's kind of funny with Marvel moving away from volume numbers when they have a book here that is very satisfying to read without the other volumes. But I absolutely understand why they called it Brand New Day #3, and I would make the same decision. It's really good. It's some of my favorite Spider-Man comic books.
And lined up perfectly with a future Spider-Man Big Time, or by Dan Slott. I hope they call it Big Time so they don't leave any of the little miniseries out like American Son. But thank you for writing that down. Tina, your ex, you know there's more than one girl named Tina out there. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. As brutal as One More Day was, Brand New Day was really enjoyable. I think I had to take a long step away from Brand New Day, or One More Day, to really enjoy Brand New Day for what it was. You're right. Jesus Cristo, you all are only on 6. That's June. Not the number, right? There never goes a time that I don't yell at Ryan. All right, Captain Marvel, highest, furthest, fastest. I was Kelly Thompson was like, it makes sense, but I'm saddened to see that her name is not on the title anymore. And I am too. I would have liked that. But
and that lady sells some books, man. She's an Eisner winner once again.
And writing Buffy and Angel. How excited are you for that, dude?
Losing my freaking mind. She's writing Wonder Woman and Buffy and Angel. Like, what universe have I tumbled into?
I knew you'd be happy about that one. Okay. So Captain Marvel 27 through 50 finishing out Kelly Thompson's run. You all suggested adding X-Men 19 through 21. Guess what? They put it in there. Captain Marvel Annual 1. Dark Tempest 1 through 5, which is the Ann Nocenti series. Captain Marvel Assault on Eden one shot, and Captain Marvel 1 through 10, which is the Alyssa Wong series. So it is, or 2023, yeah. It is everything that has Carol in there, with the exception. I mean, there's that little mini series, but it's not enough for an omnibus, is there? Between Kelly Sue DeConnick and Kelly Thompson.
What? Only the Secret Wars, which is in the DeConnick.
No, that's in the DeConnick one. No, there's something else. The Marjorie Stolt book.
Oh, well, there's a Stoll Engage period. Like, there is a period between.
But it's not enough.
That's like it's plenty. There's a multi-year period in there. We have it on the poll. Really? It's like 2 whole series. Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Hold on, let me see if I can find it really quickly on the poll.
Thank you.
I will just say this.
Thank you, James,
that would actually be a pretty big, but let's just take it in the order we talked about it. That would be a really big book. There's Captain Marvel 2016 1 through 10. There's the Mighty Captain Marvel 2016 1 through 9, and then it hits Marvel Legacy, so we get 125 through 129. Then there's Generations Captain Marvel and Marvel #1. Then there's Generations Miss Marvel,
right. And I forgot about that. Okay.
Then there's the Captain Marvel Margaret Stoll series. Like, it's a lot of content, and you could also put A-Force into that book. So there's a lot of stuff that could be done there. Now, okay, so that's one down. The second thing is, this is really smart. And to me, this is actually one of the best signals of Marvel making good decisions. I know we love to beat up on them because they're the man and they're, and we love to stick it to them. But this is intelligent. They held this book a little bit and we all were like, oh, it's because the sales weren't strong enough. What bullshit? Like, no, that's not why. It's because they had some pretty new material that they could add to this to make it more complete. And that's what we're always asking them to do. This is, they delayed it a little far. I would have liked it if it came out within 2 years of the first book, which was May in 2023. But to get in all three of these additional series, Dark Tempest, which is by Ann Nocenti, which I actually had a lot of fun with. It also has Spider-Woman in it. To add in those X-Men issues, which are happening in parallel, telling the same exact story on a different side of the universe to the end of this Captain Marvel run. Then to have that Captain Marvel Assault on Eden book, which is by Anthony Oliveira, who I absolutely am obsessed with. He writes the Avengers Academy Marvel Unlimited series. And then that Captain Marvel run by Alyssa Wong, which wasn't my favorite, but does kind of do a Captain Marvel family vibe where it's like every character related to Captain Marvel
shows up.
Is in that book. I'm like, actually, we should be asking for Marvel to do things like this. It feels like this is what we've been asking for the whole rest of the stream. Marvel, can you add this? Marvel, can you add that? So here it is. They did it. And after this, she has no more solo material. She's the lead character in Jed McKay's Avengers after this, and there's nothing else you could add to it.
All right. You all heard Crisis. Star Wars Legends, The New Republic. This has the Crimson Empire.
Original flavor.
Yes. Crimson Empire 2, The Bounty Hunters, Kinnick's Kill, and Crimson Empire 3, which I used to have the Dark Horse hardcover of that. They used to make beautiful hardcovers. That trilogy is freaking awesome. Empire Lost 1 through 6, and the Jedi Academy Leviathan, the Mixed Up Droid, the Union, Chewbacca 1 through 4, the Star Wars Invasion 0 through 5, Star Wars Invasion Rescues, the Invasion Revelations, the Handbook 2, material from Dark Horse Extra 21 through 24, Dark Horse Presents 1, Star Wars Tales 8, 11, 16 through 19, and 21. Love both covers, man. They're freaking awesome. So I think that's it for the New Republic, right?
It certainly is.
Because I was comparing it to the Epic collections, and it's got that. It, by the way, mapped completely different than the Epic collections are mapped. So that is a lot of different Star Wars miniseries, but it wraps up the era of the New Republic. So very happy for, again, people that are getting Star Wars books. Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 7, your very first Marvel Omnibus that is not Conan to reach a Volume 7.
Oh, so, fun fact.
Amazing Spider-Man 206 to 223. Amazing Spider-Man Annuals 14 through 15. Marvel Treasure Edition 25. Material from Marvel What If 23 through 24 and 30. This Volume 7, this is another one that, I mean, okay, what's happening? What's going to happen with 8? Because it maps perfectly and lines up perfectly with Roger Stern's Omnibus.
But Roger, some of that's already been recollected in the Spectacular line, so it's not like they're going to just collect around it.
With the Roger Stern Omni?
Yeah.
Well, no, no, they're not. Wait, what? Oh, in Volume 1 of Spectacular Spider-Man? Okay, I'm sorry. I was my brain was stuck on Amazing. So I wonder how Volume 8 is going to be mapped, because they'll never stop making these volume numbers, right? They will continue. This isn't a case of not dead yet. Sorry, Roy, but yeah, this is well,
what's really puzzling about what they've done with these past couple of ones is like, this is not even 2 whole masterworks, and they just did that on the previous one. Even if we were talking about Uncanny X-Men, that is a small omnibus. So we all thought like, oh, well, maybe that last one was kind of short because they're trying to collect like further into Stern. Like maybe we were thinking maybe this one's going to be longer, but this one is also so short that really, if I'm being honest, and I remember I just said a lot of nice things about Marvel. If we're being honest, 6 and 7 could have been 1 book. This is 1.5 Marvel Masterworks.
Did the Marvel Masterworks have the Treasury Edition and I know they had the annual.
Because they did not have the Treasury Edition.
The Treasury Edition is a big book. I'm not really sure how many pages, right? But it is a big book. And I'm just interested in when they made the decision to start adding the What If books to these collections. Because I get it, not every people are like, I already have the What If stuff. But not everybody has that Omni. Not everybody gets those collections. Actually,
I will say the Treasury Edition is 68 pages. So
it's like an annual, right?
Yeah, and it's like 3 standard issues, but that still does not excuse how short.
I'm not making excuses. I was just asking. Like,
no, I'm not saying you're making excuses.
You don't know I was. I could be making excuses. We're not making excuses.
So now you're arguing that you were making excuses. I just want to be clear.
This is how I win arguments in my house, Peter. I don't know. Melanie just gets frustrated with me. Yeah. So interesting that they thought about Roger Stern's Omni and stopped at 223. But that Omni is out of print, which means I don't know when Volume 8 will come out. Let's say Volume 8 comes out, if we're following this path of 3 years. So it comes out in 2020. Well, this is coming out in 2026. So it'll be 2029 before Volume 8 comes out. By that point, would they have reprinted another Roger Stern Spider-Man Omni? Because it sells really well. It's been on its 3rd printing.
That's true. Everybody loves Uncle Roger.
They do. Okay. Let's move on to X-Men, the Messiah Trilogy Omnibus. Voted number 47 in the Tiger Eyes poll, collecting Messiah Complex one-shot, Uncanny X-Men 492 to 494, 523 to 525, and then Atchis Bliss X-Men 205 to 207, New X-Men 44 to 46, X-Factor 25 to 27, Messiah Complex Mutant Files, X-Men, The Times and Life of Lucas Bishop 1 through 3, Cable 11 through 15, X-Force Cable Messiah War one-shot, X-Force 14 through 16, 26 through 28, X-Men Future History, the Messiah War source book, and Second Coming Prepare, Second Coming 1 and 2, New Mutants 12 through 14, and X-Men Legacy 235 to 237. So this is really 3 books put together, 3 oversized hardcovers. You have Messiah Complex, you have Messiah War, and then you've got Second Coming. All of it put together into an omnibus. I was hoping Endangered Species would be added to this. Okay, when we did Map My X many moons ago, there was a discussion about how do we map this era of it. And again, Peter and I do not work for Marvel, neither do Oddfell nor Riley. It was just fans talking about how this era of X-Men would be mapped. So there were 2 minds, right? It was like we do it the events way, and then we do it everything. And I think if we do everything, there would be 2 Omnis. It would be the X-Force stuff. It would be the Cable stuff. It would be Bishop. So they decided to put the events because A, the events always sell good, and B, it's easier to map, right? It's like there is no mapping. It's putting 3 oversized hardcovers together. So that's what they decided to do with this. Does it make me happy for the people that voted for this? Absolutely. Yeah, you're getting 3 events that are long out of print. I think Messiah Complex is one of the few oversized hardcovers that got 2 printings, by the way. Will it read well? That's, I think, the biggest issue. Because there are 3 different events from 3 different eras. Messiah Complex will read well, right? That, like, even if you weren't reading X-Men, it all makes sense at that time. But by the time you get to the Messiah War, which is just an X-Force event with Cable thrown in, that might need some explaining and some recap pages. And then definitely by the time you get the Second Coming, you're going to need some recap pages. So the reading, I think, is what will bother some people. Peter, I don't think you have any thoughts. You want to move on to the next book?
Let me try to stay in a positive mindset.
I'm here.
So look, I think there is some value to Marvel sometimes just putting a bunch of friggin' hits in a book that people are going to enjoy. Not everybody is the completionist reader, right? We've seen them do it with, 2 unrelated Infinity events, one by Starlin and one by Hickman, very much aimed at people who are just coming off of the MCU. We've seen them do it with like Spider-Verse and Spider-Geddon, which don't super connect to each other, but make for a very fun book to read. So I just want to acknowledge up front that like Marvel sometimes is just worried about the marketing and they're not worried about completionism necessarily. And these events do link together more so than either of those two things do. There's a reason people have been calling them the Messiah trilogy for the past 15 years. Okay, so let's just get that out of the way. The real question here becomes, does Marvel use this as an excuse to not recollect any of these three crossovers in the places they rightfully go? Now, with Messiah Complex, that's really tricky because it's hard to map that. We had a whole 4-hour Map My X about it. James Verdon for the Tiger Eyes poll this year remapped all of it, in my opinion, perfectly. It's just hard to do. It's the Messiah War is not hard to do. It is just part of X-Force. If an X-Force by Kyle and Yost Omnibus were to skip that, that would be insane. And then we have Second Coming, which really should kind of go in a Matt Fraction omnibus, but it was not in his complete collections. So there's the argument that they could use this as an excuse to skip it. Will they? We truly won't know. And I don't think we'll even change our mappings because we have no hint, because it's not like they skipped collecting Jonathan Hickman's Infinity just because they did that Infinity omnibus with the Starlin, Infinity Gauntlet. So there's really no way to know. So that's one thing I want to put to bed. This is a blockbuster book with an easy title that slightly more casual fans can pick up and just read 3 huge X-Men stories. And each one of these stories is completely satisfying on its own. I'm not coming out against this material. I friggin' love this material. Okay, let's be clear. I just don't love the idea of it divorced from other things. Personally, I think it's more interesting to put something like Utopia in the middle of this than Messiah War, but clearly that ship has sailed. Let me put that thought to bed. The other thought is that there are 2 very valid additions to suggest to this book without going crazy, because it's not a very long book. It's just 3 kind of mid-sized, oversized hardcovers that it's just stapling together right now. So the first thing is, as Omar mentioned, Endangered Species. Endangered Species was a series of backups across all of the X-Men books that then crossed over to form Messiah Complex. But it was setting up this idea of like, we are an endangered species right now in the wake of House of M, which all together was a prologue to Messiah Complex. And Endangered Species itself had the same cover dress on the issues as Messiah Complex, and the oversized hardcover even looks like the Messiah Complex oversized hardcover. So I think many of us always assumed that it would have it as a prologue. Do I understand why it's not here? Yes, because Marvel wants to start the book off with a bang. And let me tell you, Messiah Complex starts off with a bang, so I can understand the omission. I'm not arguing. I'm just pointing out because I want to be the voice of the people. The other thing, however, that I do think is more to the point, truly missing from this, and that Marvel truly should add, was that there is a supporting mini-series to Second Coming called X-Men Hellbound that shows a side mission that some of the X-Men go on during Second Coming. It was in a supporting OHC called Second Coming Revelations, and I do think it belongs here because it's part of Second Coming. There was also a one-shot, the name just jumped out of my head, but it was like X-Men Blind Science maybe, or something, that was a one-shot of what was happening in the lab on Utopia during Second Coming. That should also be here. There are other contents in that OHC we don't need. It collected truly unrelated issues of X Factor. There's no reason we need those here. But if I'm just trying to be like thinking, would this book read well, putting on my Marvel hat, I do think you have to pick up those few issues from Revelations if you really want this to have the complete Second Coming in it. Otherwise, go with God, enjoy your Messiah. I have a great time. I'll be waiting for my more complete omnibus line.
This reminds me of the way we used to get not just X-Men, but any of the big lines from both Marvel and DC. There was a time when that's all we got were events. We got the X-Men. If you wanted to read X-Men in collected editions, I hope you enjoy Fall of the Mutants. I hope you enjoy Extinction Agenda and Executioner Song. Like all we got were events, and together, it wouldn't be skipping issues. So that was the way I read some of the DC stuff when I was kind of catching up with DC. They were collecting events before they started doing actual lines, like, oh, we're gonna have Flash by Jeff Johns. Let's go ahead and do a Flash by Jeff Johns. So that's what this reminds me of, that early era of collecting collected editions, but in one book, right? Because those OHCs have been out of print. Will you be lost? I mean, maybe if it's your first X-Men title, but if you've been reading it for a while, maybe the reason you're smart enough to figure it out. Do I want it to be like, okay, I think I have been spoiled by IDW. IDW released the Transformers in a comprehensive reading order. And I thought we have finally reached that point of collected editions where they are putting thought into these collected. It's no longer hey, let's put these 5 trade paperbacks together and call it this book. It is, this book fits better here. Let's pull this issue from this run and put it over here. And I was like, man, that is really cool. And I saw that Marvel started doing that, and DC definitely started doing that just recently in the last year. And I'm like, man, they're putting a lot of thought. So something like this is like, oh, I wish they had done a Messiah complex omnibus that led into all, let's say, when we mapped it, right? But then again, it's like, that's the way I would have mapped it. I don't work for them. I can only just suggest things. I'm sorry, Peter, you were saying something.
I was just going to say, as much as I don't feel like this material goes together, I don't think you'll be lost, because what this is, and then we can certainly move on, is this Messiah complex sets up the return of the mutant race, and it introduces Hope as a baby. Then if you were to just jump to Second Coming, it's like, and now Hope is 20 years old. It's like, what? Where did that happen? It happened in Cable. You're not going to put all of Cable in the middle of this book. But what you can do, it would be fun, but what you can do is put in the Cable crossover that kind of just gives you a little glimpse into Hope, and you get that glimpse via X-Force leaving our present to go and interact with Hope. So like from that perspective, I do understand why, even though I don't like it, I understand why people think these 3 tell a complete story, because it's Hope's birth, Hope's adolescence, and Hope's return all in one book. So there you go. It's a great read, y'all. If you're not a completionist X-Men person, if you don't need every single individual issue and miniseries and everything, if you're just looking like for a friggin' blockbuster at 3 action movies in a row of X-Men duct taped together and strapped to a bomb that's going to go off 5 minutes from now, that is this book. Second Coming, as I've seen people in the chat saying they've never reread any X-Men book as much as Messiah Complex. For me, that's really? Second Coming. I've reread Second Coming so many times. It is the best X-Men action movie of all time. It's like there's people going to the future. They have to explode the Sentinels. The Nimrods are closing in on Utopia. It's like, it's intense. It's a really great story. So if people are just not worried about being completionists and they just want to like read the most badass X-Men stories, this is going to be high on my recommendations list for a long time. I'm not saying I like it, but it's as a book, but I like the stories a lot.
And the art,
Greg Land, baby.
Shut up. That's not what I said. As much as I love Second Coming, man, the Crochet was almost just as good too. That book needs to be in oversized format. And one more thing to note, and then we will be moving on. For the people that are asking, should they get this book or should they wait for a properly mapped book? It's another thing of like, it's up to you, right? I don't think, like Peter and I are just, we just said, we don't think you'll be lost, right? People are smart enough to figure out that this baby will grow up to be this teenage girl, and she's running around because of the consequences that happen at the end of Messiah Complex. So ultimately, it is up to you. We don't know if they're ever going to do a public, like maybe they'll just do X-Force and Cable in an omnibus and call it a day, right? Messiah Complex came at the time, man, when I was like, I had a podcast and I interviewed Joe Quesada, and I was like, why aren't the X-Men titles communicating with each other? It feels like they're all doing their own different thing. And he was like, we actually have something planned this summer. And that was Messiah Complex. And I was like, oh, cool. It finally feels like these titles are crossing over and actually talking to each other. Captain America by Mark Grunwald, Volume 3, Cap Wolf, baby. That's right, on the direct market cover. Selecting Captain America 387 and 418, Captain America Annual 11, Punisher Captain America Blood and Glory 1 through 3, Ghost Rider Captain America Fear, and U.S. Agent 1 through 4. Hell yes. One more omnibus. This is when it starts to dip. I don't care. Give it all to me. I love Mark Grunwald's run on Captain America, and we're going to get 4 omnis of it shortly. And, oh, man. This will have issue 400, which is a big anniversary issue, which has this amazing like backup story in the middle of Operation Operation Galactic Storm. Got too much X-Men on my mind right now, man. Yeah, there's this backup story where he's fighting all his villains. I loved it. Love the backup stories with Diamondback. I love the backup stories with Crossbones. I love Mark Grunwald's there. He understood the character. He had his voice down. I love the supporting cast. Yes, it starts getting ridiculous towards the later part. What is Moonstone? That character from the 70s comes back and turns Captain America into a werewolf. Does it guest star Wolverine? You bet your ass it does.
This is,
So,
I mean, I happen to be an Epic Collections person, and I just remember being so gleeful when the Epics hit this, because this was the Captain America. This is my Captain America, and I hold the Mark Grunwald run in such high regard. It's just one of, I feel like, and I've said this before on this channel for like 6 years now, I feel like it's up there with Claremont X-Men and Peter David Hulk. Like, I think it's the third one in that lineup, in that sentence of like a creator who just fundamentally got the character and wrote the character forever, and it just never gets old. And it's just weird to me that everybody talks about Claremont X-Men and Pad Hulk and don't like venerate this as highly. So I'm happy to have it in Epics. I treasure them. But for people who are Omnibus people, this is a fantastic run of books, and it's mapped spectacularly. It's not just Grunwald material, it has everything that was in the Epic collection. So it is truly a complete cap map of this era.
Thank you. Wow, I didn't think anyone else agreed with me. Grunwald's run over Brubaker's. I agree.
I don't even know.
I love Brubaker's run. Love it. I think it's phenomenal. But it's my taste. I love Captain America by Mark Grunwald. It was my childhood as well. So yeah. They've been skipping Marvel Comics Presents stories though, so I don't expect much here. Was there a holiday special you were asking about? I think there was a holiday like material from a holiday special. Let's see. Let's move on to we're in July.
Almost.
Okay, this is one that I already had notes for, my own notes, but I know people are wondering what's going on. This is Punisher and Fury Max by Garth Ennis, collecting Punisher the Platoon, which is freaking phenomenal. If you like war stories, not just Punisher stories. Fury Max 1 through 13. That's a 2012 series. Get Fury 1 through 6, and Punisher Soviet 1 through 6. That's another great one too. Voted 41 in the Marvel Most Wanted poll. So there is a Fury miniseries that came out. It was I think 2002, if I'm not mistaken.
2001 Fury Max is,
with Derek Robertson on artwork, where he takes the entrails and actually chokes a dude out with his own entrails. Badass if you like that kind of stuff, but it's also Max, so it's not for everybody. And then there was another Fury follow-up series that I don't think was Max, but it might have been Marvel Knights, or it could have been Max, that could be added in here. Those are the two series I was going to ask for. Somebody was asking for Punisher Born, which is already collected in the Max Volume 1 of Punisher. So I don't know if they'll add that in here.
Yeah, I think the idea and the way we mapped this in the poll, and I feel like I've said before that it's Brandon who mapped it, but it might have been James. But they were like, honestly, even though this is all companion material, you can make a complete story out of it. You start with Born because it kind of introduces their relationship to each other. Then you do Fury Max, which is not here, right? The 2001 Fury Max, because is that not by Ennis? Then you do, it is. So why isn't it here? I don't understand why it's not here.
Keep asking about why isn't it here.
And then
it's Ennis to the extreme, man.
And we also had in that map that's not here. And again, I don't know Max material that well. I'm just reporting. Fury Peacemaker from 2006.
Mm-hmm.
That's not here either.
Nope.
Okay. And so then is Fury Max My War Gone By, which is that 13-issue series that's in there, which is very well regarded. Then the other thing that people had mapped into this, which I also don't see here. Oh, no, there it is. Punisher Max the Platoon, then Punisher Max Soviet, which is here, and then Get Fury, which is here. So this is kind of like the back half of that material and not the front half of that material, because it starts... But the earliest thing in here is Fury Max. Yeah.
There wouldn't be enough material to collect in that front half. I think
which is why I think you put it here. Like, let's do it, man. Let's go. We got it. Let's do it.
Yeah, I agree. And those are the two miniseries I added that I had already on my email ready to send to them. So I saw the comment. So of course, I'm going to ask. More Captain America, baby, in July. Captain America Omnibus Volume 5, collecting Captain America 387 to 418. Nope. Let me Peter, do you have the correct content for this one?
Give me one moment, please. Actually, I might not, because this is like the newest of the new.
I got you. I'll put it on our chat and Facebook. So you can just
no, I think I got it.
Sure? Okay. Let me know.
Give me a minute. Work my magic.
Thank you.
Wait, this is What? Oh, that's the Grunwald material.
That's the
Gotcha.
Grunwald stuff. Mhm.
Yeah.
Un momentito, por favor. Don't forget to hit that like button, please. That goes a long way.
Yeah, we've got a ton of people watching. Thank you so much for sticking with a long stream, but it's so much fun to talk about this with Omar. And like
2.5 hours, man.
We're not done yet, baby. There's more slides. There's an appendix.
I haven't seen you for a month. I only
That's
took
true.
off for a week, and I was like, I haven't gotten my Peter kick.
So look, while we are reloading here to take a look at this, I will just point out that this is another one of these we know what's going to be in it from the Masterworks. Captain America has again always obeyed the Masterworks rule, with the exception of one, and that's because the Kirby one kind of put it a little bit off kilter. So this is ending as we predicted with issue 260. It's actually a pretty big one. It just so happens that these three Masterworks, 12, 13, and 14, are just big Masterworks. Some people think that it should have extended into Masterworks 15, so that could have aligned with the breakpoint of the Epic Collection line, but that would just be unusual for material of this era. So there's a reason that it conforms exactly to the Masterworks. And you can go ahead and reload, Omar.
Yeah. Sir, all right, reloading and the slideshow. There we go. Thank you again, Peter. Captain America 215 of 260, Incredible Hulk 232, Marvel Premiere 49, material from What If 5 and 26. Do you think, or anybody watching, that we'll get a DeMatteis omnibus, or just wait until volume 6? Because that stuff is, I mean, we only need like 6 and 7, and then we get to the Mark Grunwald era. Do you hear what I said, Peter?
Is there going to be a DeMatteis book? Is that what you're asking?
I'm just saying, we like, if you think about it, we just need, holy crap, 2 more volumes, then we get to the Mark Grunwald era.
Yes.
And if there's a fourth Mark Grunwald omnibus, that goes into the Mark Waid era.
Yes, and it connects perfectly.
And oh my gosh, like, it's just amazing that freaking, like, Captain America has been collected so well. I didn't even think about it until now.
So honestly, it could just be one more. So this ends at 260, and Grunwald starts at 307. So we're talking about a book that would be exactly as long as this book. It's literally the same length as this book. So man, it could just be one.
Zek, they could spread it out. I don't know.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of passion for the DeMatteis run, and I could see them doing a slimmer art volume to put his name on it. It has some really significant material in it too, but it could just be one. And on the poll, we refused to map it as 2 because it's just like it would just be 2 smaller books. We're just going to assume it's going to be 1 until we hear otherwise.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how to fatten that one up if they do make it to throw Deathlok. Anyway, but that's really cool. That is really cool. It should be volume 6 and 7. Yeah, I just started a full Cap read through, and I'm very happy. Now, of course, Cap has had many different eras, right? Like the Golden Age era, we only have 2 of those. We don't have a Golden Age volume 3. And there's the Marvel Knights, Captain America and the Falcon era. Kirkman was writing those, I think, at the time.
Yeah, we went through this a lot on the poll. There's basically a Marvel Knights book that we need that has like Dead Man Running, Captain America and the Falcon, all that type of stuff. Yeah.
Thank you, Maniac Gear, for the super chat. I was just saying that we need a Captain America Golden Age Volume 3.
I would love more Golden Age.
That would take us, we need this stuff in the 50s. Pretty cool. Oh, the Nomad series. Yes. Where's Hamza? Where's Hamza? This is why Marvel needs to continue with the reprints, and they're going to continue them. It's just they're taking a little break right now. I wish Marvel cared about their Golden Age like DC. Yeah, it seems like it just never really sold that well at Marvel. So maybe one day. Moving on to Star Wars Legends.
This is so cool to see. I'm just happy.
I don't own. I never owned these. I think there were Epic collections of this, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Fantagraphics released these but I think when they released them in a landscape format. So this is the Stancia affair, the early Adventures 1 through 9, classic Star Wars Han Solo at Star's End, and classic Star Wars 1 through 20. These are the newspaper strips. Al Williamson doing a lot of the artwork through here too, which I know makes a lot of people happy. And thank you. It was 2 epics is what this was. Yeah, these were trade paperbacks at Dark Horse. Do the story? Are you talking about Jackson? Do the stories have the pesky rabbit in them? You leave Jackson alone, Super Laugh Hard. That dude was Bucky O'Haring before Bucky O'Hare was Bucky O'Haring. You'll get your golden age when we get when you buy these damn Omnis. But Fantagraphics, speaking of Fantagraphics, they've been doing a lot of these Lost Marvel books. Maybe that will be the way. I don't know. One day. I forgot to throw a suggestion for that Hulk Omni, Omar. Let me know when that Q&A opens back up. Oh, we'll open it up again here in a second. Thank you for that. Daredevil by Nocenti and Ramita Jr. Omnibus Volume 2. Collecting Daredevil 267 to 291, Daredevil Annual 5 through 6, Spectacular Spider-Man 213 and 214. Material for Marvel Comics Presents 109 to 116, 123 to 130, 150 to 151. Marvel Holiday Special number 2. The only thing that I saw missing in here that I already had written down is there was a Typhoid Mary miniseries that she did. It was way after she left the book. I want to say it was like in the mid-90s when she did it.
Yeah.
But I think since she wrote it, and I guess material from that, what was it, the Electra 100, they could add it. I mean, we have seen them do that before with like Peter David's X Factor, for example. They added the X Factor Forever miniseries. So
I think the tricky thing with that Typhoid series, if I remember the conversation that's been happening exclusively on the Near Mint Condition Discord, which you can access by pledging to the Patreon, is that it is mature. I think it's marked mature, which even though a lot of this Nocenti stuff is very mature, I don't think it's actually labeled mature. And so that's the question. It is a little bit separated from this in time, but it has not been, to my knowledge, in the Daredevil Epic line. It kind of got its own fat trade. So future Daredevil, it could be that Marvel's like, yeah, we'll put that in the Daredevil line when the Daredevil line gets there. But there's no guarantee because it hasn't been in the Epic collections. And actually, it's by Nocenti. So, and this has a ton of Typhoid Mary in it. She's on the cover. So it makes sense to maybe argue to put it here too.
Okay. I do remember my argument for putting Havoc and Wolverine Meltdown in Wolverine Omnibus Volume 2 when David was, well, and it made sense, right? Because you do have to think about that. He was like, well, it's mature theme. We would have to change the book to mature theme. And I said, what kid is buying $100 book? At the time, they were 100, 125. And he was like, oh, that's a good point. So they put it in. I mean, the same thing could be said for this, right? I mean, if it's mature, what kid is buying? Sometimes, hell, man, books are sold because it says mature content. I know. I've bought several.
I mean, what could be more mature than that? Those cakes that he's showing on the main cover there.
He ain't got nothing on Nightwing. All right. What's next? I think that's it. All right, Peter, take it away, buddy.
All right, so look, the Tiger Eyes poll, it's our official poll that we do on this channel, supported by Tiger Eyes, this was the 13th annual poll this year, and we have a lot of fun doing it. It is my Christmas every year. And the top 60 does get shared with Marvel by Omar, so they have it in hand. Now, if you take a minute to think about some of these books, some of them, especially ones that required some restoration of content, were probably en route to happening before they ever saw those 60 results, which they got in May. So, but we still can push this against the poll this year to kind of see where things are lining up. So I'm going to show it to you 2 ways. First, let's just look at the books we just talked about. There were 37 books that we talked about. 2 of them were not on the poll. The Captain Marvel book, which was already tipped to be released, and we just didn't know when it was going to come out. And as I mentioned earlier, there was one book, oh, now it just jumped out of my mind, the No Surrender book, where we just didn't really have that exact book on the poll. So here's in order of placement on the poll, the books that we announced today. We have 3 books out of the top 10. We have a total of, I believe, 12 books out of the top 60. And we have a total of 19 books, fully a fifth of the top 100 that are in this set of announcements. Now, usually, if you look at the past couple years, in terms of just the top 60, we wind up usually getting about a third of it announced. We're already well on the way to that, and we have the whole back half of the year of announcements still to get through. So, I mean, we got some big blockbusters here, and, not just X-Men. We've got a whole variety of stuff, some great Spider-Man representation and some great kind of one-off stuff that fills gaps, as we've been talking about all along. Thunderbolts, huge gap filler. Punisher and Fury Max by Garth Ennis, a huge gap filler. So some surprises too, not just the things that you would expect. Now let's go to the next slide. And this is all of the books that we have outside, or that should say outside the top 100, not outside the top 10. So here's the thing I'll point out here. There's a theme. The theme is that there's a group of books that were all sequels to existing books that were very close to the top 100. Ultimate Fantastic Four, Cap 5, and Excalibur 4. And then there's a bunch of Star Wars. And the Star Wars just rank low because, as Omar mentioned earlier, people really clustered around Clone Wars and Menace Revealed to get them high in the poll, and Legacies. And so this is like all that other stuff, but it's all still missing Star Wars omnibuses. So it's not like we're going to get mad at Marvel because they're kind of, and again, Marvel never saw the results after 60. So they had no idea of this. This is stuff that only near mint condition Patreons know, because Omar puts the full list on the Patreon. So the only ones that are like true shocks, and again, Marvel Fanfare at 390, people didn't vote for it because it said in the first book there will be 2 more books. So people don't like to spend their votes on things that are like sure things to happen. So if we're really looking for like truly surprising out of the blue WTF books from the slate of announcements, it's My Pansexual Murder Son Dakin. That was not really highly demanded. Zeb Wells Spider-Man, but we all knew that was going to happen anyway. Battleworld was going to happen. That's why people didn't vote for it. The only 2 true surprises here are Dakin and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Dakin has a current ongoing book, and Marvel loves to put out omnibuses for people who have current ongoing books. So really the only true shocker here is Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
As of this video, they don't have an ongoing book or series. So
yeah.
Maybe.
But now let's look at it a different way. Maybe you didn't visit. Sorry to jump in there, Omar. I got excited because there's numbers.
Take it.
Okay, so now let's just look at the poll in order, and before we go back through and take your frequently asked questions, let's just look at what's been printed and what's not. Let's read through this quick. Number 1 this year is Indiana Jones, still no announcement. Number 2, Daredevil by Nocenti, we got it. 3, Civil War, we all wish. Moon Knight, Messiah Complex there, that is not the trilogy. The trilogy was listed separately. This was a complete version of that part of the era of X-Men. Blue and Gold 2, X-Force by Kyle Yost. Then we have number 8, Age of Krakoa. We still don't have Grucka Punisher. We got number 9, Amazing Spider-Man 7, which we just talked about. And then there's X-Men Legacy, Akira, Indiana Jones from Dark Horse, Aliens vs. Predator, Iron Man, Invincible Iron Man by Fraction, Punisher Classic, Exiles, Daredevil by O'Neill Miller and Mazzucchelli, which is between Miller and Nocenti, Big Time by Dan Slott, which follows Brand New Day that we just got, and The Road to Messiah Complex, which has not yet been announced. Omar?
Yes.
Oh, I was asking if you had questions, but sure, let's do another slide. So then on this slide at number 21, we had a Space Odyssey, then we have Generation X, then we have Brand New Day, number 3, which we just got, although on the poll was labeled as the Gauntlet. Then we have Inferno Aftermath, Clone Wars Omnibus, which is now the most hotly demanded Star Wars Omnibus, Uncanny X-Men Volume 6, which I'm sure is coming, Thunderbolts 4, which we named something different, but actually that's what we named it different. Here it's known as Dark Reign. Then we have Dark Avengers, hilariously right after that, because it does follow that, Daredevil by Chichester, Dark Hawk, X-Men Age of Krakoa by Kieran Gillan. I think the reason we didn't get that is because we got a different Gillan X Omnibus. Then we have Avengers Volume 6, which is on the poll. So then we have Daredevil number 4 to get us to Miller, Spectacular Spider-Man number 2, Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze number 1, Spider-Girl, Quasar, Blue and Gold 3, X-Men by Matt Fraction, which I think we're not seeing here because we have Messiah Complex, and then Star Wars Legacy, as Omar mentioned, the number 2 most requested Star Wars Omnibus. And then finally, one more slide to take us to 60. We have 5 out of this last group, Punisher Fury Max, and then Clone Saga, we love a follow-up, Aliens versus Predator versus DC, who knows if that's even possible, Hulk by Bruce Jones, fitting between Jenkins and Pad, we got that today, Avengers Volume 8, which will be for Roger Stern, New Mutants Volume 4, then there's the Messiah Trilogy, which is here, then is Road to Onslaught 2, which is here, then we have a whole slate of stuff that we haven't heard about yet, Old Man Logan, Alpha Flight 3, Inhumans, Spider-Woman, Age of Krakoa, John of X 3, which is X of Swords, Aliens versus Predator, Fire and Stone, which is the 2010s era Dark Horse stuff, Doctor Strange, Master of the Mystic Arc Volume 2, then we got Trial of Gambit here today, and then finally a Daredevil Companion, Fantastic Four Heroes Return, which is the Claremont run, Spectacular Spider-Man by Conway and Buscema, and Spider-Man the Black Costume Saga Aftermath. So that's where the top 60 lands right now, and of that 60, we got 12, which is 20% of the top 60, and we're only halfway through the year.
Yeah, because we still have August to December. The next listings of upcoming books will be August to January of 2027, which is crazy to think about, but that's just the way the book market works, and that's what they need. Man, thank you, Peter. Is there another slide, or is that it? That's it.
No, that is the end, my friend.
That is the end. Decken swept the pansexual murder vote. Messiah did place around 7th. Messiah played 7th in 2024, but then we decided
comes with a footnote because we just said Messiah Complex and we didn't say what it was. So some people were voting for it as trilogy and some people were voting it as a complete book. And so then we broke it into 2 for this year, and it placed both of the halves of it placed in the top 60. So it's always been popular no matter what format. This year we put it on as a complete omnibus and it did even better than that. And we put it in as a trilogy and it still appeared. Yeah.
Nuclear hot take. Civil War doesn't work per an omnibus. Fact. It's actually a good fact.
It's really hard to map. You're going to need
Marvel responded to the poor reception of the Messiah trilogy announcement?
No.
No. They never really, I mean, sometimes they'll say, oh, people aren't happy with this and they want to know why. But no, they didn't. I mean,
that baby's going to sell. It's going to sell really well. It's just because it's not a completionist book. And because it pains me physically, deep in my abdomen, the idea that it's going to exist, it doesn't mean that it's a bad announcement.
People will buy it. That's X-Men. It's events. Omar, at this point, would it be too late for Marvel to add reprints to the catalog? At this point, they could still add more books to the catalog, both Marvel and DC. That's why it's always good and fun to look at the solicitations about what's coming. Keep in mind, I mean, they added Krakoa Volume 1 to the August solicitations. They did the same thing with Agent Venom. DC just added like 30, maybe 30 books to the catalog from last time. And let's see, I'm more pained by the Armor Wars. I need to get the super chat from John because Omar, any Armor Wars updates? I have not heard, man. Nada, zero. So I don't know. I'm gonna assume that they're not updating it. I'm going to assume that. What would we want to see in an omnibus form? X-Men Schism Regenesis omnibus would be cool. Cool.
I agree.
Got here just for Avengers Omni 6. Can you ask to add Iron Man 114? It's a sequel to Avengers Annual 9. They fight Arsenal again. Is 114 in that Iron Man omnibus, or is that one that people wanted added? I know you're talking about Avengers.
It's one of the issues we want added to the Iron Man omnibus as well.
So
let's add it to everything. It's the new Blood Hunt. Add it to every book.
What if they add Iron Man 113 and 114 to the Avengers book? Okay, let's see here. Omar, do you think Marvel can add the 2003 movie tie-in story? They really leave those out, though. Written by Bruce Jones as well to that whole comedy. Marvel might not, but I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask. Bruce Jones wrote it. I'm pretty sure they're gonna say straight up, what? No, we're not adding a movie like tie-in. Well, didn't they make an omnibus of the movie tie-ins? It's like Marvel Cinematic Universe omnibus or something.
Yeah, but that was like MCU tie-ins, I think. I don't know if it had like older stuff.
Oh yeah, that's Paramount. Omar, did you ever reach out to Marvel regarding leaving out American Son from the second? No. Maybe I did. I can't remember. Let me shoot. You almost made me curse. Let me look at my emails. If you asked me to, I did. But if I wasn't asked to, I didn't know. Now James is building a spreadsheet to make my life easier for me. Kind of keeping an eye, and I'm keeping an eye on the chat, and I can replay the chat to see, if people agree on things. If you asked me to, I did. Shit, I can't look for that email. It's so many freaking emails. Thanks for clicking on my message. Did you look up an issue? Can you please ask for the sequel to Avengers Annual 9? We joked about adding 113 and 114 to Avengers Annual 6 or Avengers Omni 6. But if it's a sequel, sure. I can ask. I mean, they added Hulk Destruction miniseries by Peter David in his Volume 5, which is a video game tie-in series. All right. But then that omnibus was by Peter David, though. So that might have made sense if this was Hulk by Bruce Jones instead of Return of the Monster. Yeah. Was there any talk in Marvel about doing combined web spectacular Conway Omni? No, I haven't heard that one. Marvel said you could only make one change. I'd say Iron Man 113 to 114, and I don't care about Iron Man.
If I could only make one change to this whole catalog, that's tough.
What's your one change? What would you do?
I would be tempted to tinker with that Sentry Omnibus. That one really pisses me off.
The Sentry Omnibus. Adding the things that you were.
I just think, the way that we mapped it when we were working on the poll, like we really went into saying, like, what's a good story? How could we put this in order and call it the complete saga of Bob Reynolds? And I just really think there's a chance to like tell the whole Bob Reynolds story, no issue left behind, and it wouldn't even be adding that much. It's the only chance. Like if we don't do it right here, they're never going to reissue this to put a bunch of random kind of side issues in. So I think that's the one that it just feels unfixable. All the other things I can understand the why, and this one I just can't understand why you wouldn't do that. It's so easy to do.
Okay. If I had to change one thing in here, I'd probably get rid of the Dark Wolverine Omnibus and and I'd make an Nth Man Omnibus. That's my change. Okay, in all seriousness, let's see. People really adamant about the Jen. Oh, maybe adding Jen Hope to this. I speak for the people, so I think that's what the majority has been asking for, that Jen Hope. Let me see. Personally, my Charlton Chew Wolverine issue.
The ship has sailed, Omar. You've heard my story about that, right? I sent away for it, and I had that fight up. I lived in this terrible neighborhood in this very rundown street, and I had a little wooden box on our porch where like you could theoretically drop packages in because our mail slot was so small. And I looked in that little wooden box every day for 365 days waiting for that Charleston Chew comic to arrive. And unless somebody stole it off of my porch to then sell it for money to make meth, I just think they never sent it to me.
Did you ever own it?
No. Well, now I own it. I bought 5 copies of it so I could cut it up and put it into all my custom binds.
You nerd. I love you, man. Okay, Punisher and Fury. That's the one. I would add the 2 Fury miniseries. That's the one change I would make. And what are you most excited for out of this entire, and what's everybody most excited for out of this entire catalog? Peter. You mentioned it earlier. You were like, I think this. No, you said this is the book I would recommend to people.
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped for Excalibur 4, but I already own that material. I guess, this feels so lazy to say. I just feel like such a loser. But I guess it's Trial of Gambit because it's just never been collected well before. Because, my favorite X-Men run is in this catalog. It's Kieran Gillen, but I own it all. I have it all in trade paperback. So that's not as cool to me as taking something that's never been collected perfectly, like Trial of Gambit. I'm always more interested in a book that collects something perfectly for the first time. Along those same lines, Web of Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, Web of Spider-Man 2 was my... Either Web of Spider-Man... Okay, look, first of all, let's talk about this. Trial of Gambit.
It's got a long shot, one shot in it.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm trying to think of... Okay. Bishop Xavier Security Enforcer has never been collected. The Marvel Fanfare issues were fun. Imperial Guard was okay.
Wait, is this Missing Unlimited? Oh, sound the alarm, baby. Sound the alarm.
Calm down. Okay, calm down. 10 and 11 have been collected. You're talking about 12?
Yes, 12 to 14.
14.
I think that...
No. Wait. Hold on a second. Let me double check.
We had it on the poll.
I know. Hold on.
Oh, no, never mind. It's an Onslaught Aftermath.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's in the Onslaught Aftermath. I don't think
it's just weird to see a whole book that doesn't have any unlimited because it came out quarterly, but I guess this must. I don't know how we can avoid a quarterly book in a book that has 10 issues of Uncanny X-Men, but somehow it makes sense. Okay. Alarm rescinded. Back down from battle stations. Everybody. Okay. It's okay.
You sounded the alarm for no reason.
I got nervous.
Bow down to Scott Lobdell, God of King of X. You go to hell, Ryan. This issue 350 was so bad.
I hope they do a chromium cover like that Nightwing Omnibus. I hope it glitters.
And they charge you $195 for it. Sure. Have fun with that. All right. I think for me, it is nice to see my favorite character kind of bring it back home, man.
Are you really gonna pick this book?
Yeah, because this is what started the whole Wolverine thing. I told David they need to reprint volume 1, and he was like, that book didn't sell that well. And I was like, but that was 10 years ago. So there was a little side bet. I'm like, if it sells, can I get a volume 2? And I said, if it doesn't sell, you don't ever have to talk to me again. And he was like, all right. I mean, jokingly, of course. And look where we are now. 6 months.
This is just your favorite because this is the hashtag Omar was right book. Because we're up to a 7th volume.
Let me tell you, in this house, that hashtag never gets used, man. So I'll take it. I will take it. Give me that. Wolverine, not volume 7, but volume 7. Yes. But yeah, let me see what is everybody else most excited for? Of course. Let me see what my arch nemesis Warren is. I bet Warren is excited for this.
I haven't even seen Warren.
There he is. Look. Trial of Gambit is my most wanted.
You and me, baby. Soulmates, Warren.
I really think you and Warren are the same dude, man. You're like the same guy. Let me see what everybody else is thinking. There is no Al. If I had one change, would not bring Iron Man Volume 4. Just atrocious material. Thank you again, Bruce.
The trolling.
Poor John. Poor John. For me, it's the Daredevil Omni. Omar's Trial of Gambit Omni staying the same because I fear if it's canceled, it's fine. It's X-Men. It will come out. Probably Gillan. Here, let me
cancellation.
It's not gonna get canceled. Web of Spider-Man 2 and Hulk. Return of the Monster and Cap 5. Most excited for Amazing Spider-Man 7 and Wolverine 7. You know mine. That's right. Return of the Monster. Web of Spider-Man. Look at all this Web of Spider-Man love. I'm excited for everyone's heart rate to go back to normal after all the yelling. Fury, Punisher, Max. Scott Lobdell, X-Men for the win. Omar might still be hanging out by the pool on vacation. I wish I was, man. I wish I was. Avengers Classic and Web Up. Spider-Man 114 has the Avengers. Okay, I am asking. We noted that, Comics Dude. I promise. Messiah Trilogy is what I'm most excited for.
I can't even be mean about it if Great Gonzo wants it. Now I have to
glad to see Avengers No Way Home, No Surrender. Most excited for. Look at that. Dark Wolverine, Uncanny X-Men, and Sentry close behind. And excited for Dawn X2 just because they move so fast on it. I hope they keep pumping them out too. Star Wars High Republic Phase 3 and New Republic. That's awesome. Both Republics. Thunderbolts making a comeback to Omnibus Market is my highlight. Really hope the volume sells well. Black Panther Road to Onslaught 2 and Avengers No Road Home and Captain Marvel highs for this fastest. Black Widow, Captain America. I love to see all the love for these gap fillers, man. You got it, Logan. Amazing Spider-Man 7. Trial Gambit, Excalibur, Trial Gambit, and Dakin. Some people say Dakin.
It's pronounced Dakin.
It's pronounced Dakin. If anybody would know, it's Dakin.
No, it's a real word. It's a real word in Japanese that you can look up.
I know it's a real word. I just did. Wait, it is Dakin then, right? Dakin.
Yeah, it's like Daken, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. But it also means something in another language, which is what somebody was trying to teach me. And I completely forgot what it was. Legit question for Marvel. How come Spidey gets an Omni Volume 7, but Wolverine gets a name change? Old Knucklehead will sell.
Oh.
Maybe when they rebrand them and add letter pages and give us better quality scans. Can any issue with Joe Mad art really be that bad?
Yes.
I love Joe Mad. That was the highlight for me of that era. Where they end with the Trial of Gambit is perfect. Next book after this is Operation Zero Tolerance. Gillan and Trial of Gambit are probably my most anticipated. Can they add Iron Man 113, Daredevil 162, and Typhoid Mary to Amazing Spider-Man 7? Now that's trolling.
We love the healthy trolling from Cody. Cody's the mod on the Omnibus group on Reddit, and he knows this stuff front and back.
Awesome. Spider-Man Brand New Day, Volume 3. Get us one step closer to big time. Hashtag Omar was right. Thank you for that. I appreciate that movement. Web of Spider-Man Volume 2. You buy the fancy foil Trial Gambit Omnibus Omar. Oh, Joe Mad? Yeah. Oh, yes. I'm an idiot. No, that's why I never tell people what to buy or not to buy. Warren is the bullseye. They're so true. Are they going to have the... Why do I pick these comments? Are they going to have the racial slur in the Wolverine? I'm going to go ahead and say no.
You never know, man. Marvel redacts. Is it in the Epics? What issue is it in?
No, it's not in Epics yet. It's in 130. What is that? 131, I want to say. Thunderbolts Legacy. I need it all in one. Too many to pick from. Look at that. More love for Dakin. Dakin is cool. What if Volume 3? Because Volume 2 is now complete. That is right. What if Spider-Man 2? Because I love Conway's run in the Sentry's Daredevil. Yes. Didn't Nitsi say Alpha's New Warriors forever, but now Magic Mini forever. Yes, I will fight for that stupid mini, and I will ask them to add it in that Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 7. So that Web of Spider-Man Omnibus could be combined with Web of Spider-Man and Spectacular Omni by Jerry Conway because he wrote both series at the time. I can help y'all map that if you want.
I think we had it mapped like that.
Is that the follow-up to it? Web of Spider-Man 2 was my top vote on the Tiger Eyes poll. So I'm so glad. And that stuff, that's another one that has hardly been collected too. Like most of that stuff hasn't been collected. And let me get the Ken because he became more of a himbo in Krakoa era. Have Ken and Deke. Well, then how the hell do you pronounce Ken? Lilandra's brother. Dickon? Maybe. Decken in Dutch is the plural of roof. That's what he's named after. The plural of roof. Buying practically everything from 1984 to 2025 that is not Star Wars. Wow. Wait and say, John, if you did not put Iron Man 4 as at the very start of this sentence, is it even you? Great presentation, guys. Love the synergy. Thank you so much. We have a lot of fun doing this. And it helps that I haven't seen my buddy Crisis in like a month. So I was super excited. It is. Holy crap. I'm really good with my Wolverine or the issues that have racial slurs in them. I don't know. You pick what I'm really good at remembering.
Well, now I have to go look it up.
I don't think it's an epic format yet, is it? No, it might be. Actually, it might be. Asked for this hours ago, but got buried. Can we please add Spider-Man Team Up to Road to Onslaught? Which issue? Road to Onslaught 2. Which issue of Spider-Man Team Up? And Kitty is probably the main character. Wolverine 131. We got what? 4
I love the casual Kitty slander. Of course, if there's slurs, it's gonna be Kitty. Oh, I love it. Issue 131 has not been collected in Epic yet. It will be in Epic Volume 11. Epic Volume 12 starts with 133.
I'm gonna say they'll probably use the edited version. Because there was a recall on that issue, so I can't imagine them going, well, unless, somebody wasn't doing their job and isn't looking everything over. I don't know. Hulk Return of the Monster. That's right. Can you ask them to add Quest Probe 1 through 3 to Marvel Fanfare? Maybe. They could. Oh, look at this comment. Nobody maps better than Crushing Crisis.
I cannot take sole credit, especially when it's Spider-Man. We had an amazing team on the Marvel poll that I'm referring maps from Captain O'Connor, Brand XK, DBZ All-Star, James Verdon, who helped put all of these together. And that's the knowledge I'm speaking of. Even X-Men stuff, which I know I'm known to map, James did a monstrously great job. And that's why it's all so complete.
Omar just drawn to issues with racial slurs confirmed. That's what I want. My racial slurs omnibus from both Marvel and DC. They recalled it and reprinted it. I have both versions. That's right.
Oh, so probably the version on Marvel Unlimited is not going to have the slur, because that's where I was looking. But
probably, yeah. Spider-Man Team Up 1 and 5 both feature X-Men. Spider-Man Team Up. Oh, yeah, that is the X-Men issue. Wasn't that it was in the Spider-Man Omnibus, I think, right? The Clone Saga, one of those books. Is it really X-Men without some racial slur?
Oh, gosh.
I can't believe it's gone on this long. With Bendis X-Men and Onslaught era covered, what does Warren want now? I don't know. Let's see what other era I don't. You know what he wants? He wants the Daniel Way Wolverine Origins.
Love it. Love that book.
I'm sure
one
Warren
of my faves.
loves that book too. Of course you do. What are your thoughts on the material web of Volume 1, Omar? Is it good? Is the material in Volume 2 better? Volume 1 has Kraven's Last Hunt. That's all you need, baby. That's all you need. No, the material varies, right? Like there's some Louis Simonson stuff in there, same and the Sentry. It was kind of like testing the waters for new writers on Spider-Man, and some of them stuck and some of them moved around to the main titles. It's a spectacular. So I think for me, it was always amazing was that was the book I would get. If there was a crossover, I would get Spectacular. If I had enough money left over, I would get Web of. And then came Adjectiveless Spider-Man, and that took its place of Spectacular, because actually that took the place of Amazing, because I was like, oh my gosh, it's Todd McFarlane, and he's writing. Oh man, that was awful. But the artwork is beautiful, man. Google has the pronunciation of Daken. It is a Japanese word. So it would be Daken, right? Which is the way we've been pronouncing it. Awesome. Omar, what Deadpool Batman cover are you getting? Russell Dodderman for me. I am going to wait for the collected edition. My wife is super excited. So whatever cover she's going to get. So that's the one I'll read it in. Web of Spider-Man Volume 2 has the first appearance of Tombstone. Awesome. Katie Pride's real power. I love the Wolverine Origins. You're not alone.
I'm learning that Lord Cadus has amazing taste throughout the course of this stream. Also, I want to point out Charlie Pote, who just highlighted, is part of the DC Finest group on Facebook and has been contributing some awesome mappings for some of these new DC Finest lines to figure out where they could head in the future. I can't wait for the DC catalog. There's so much cool stuff coming from DC. So really, really exciting.
I can't wait to see and talk about that. That catalog will be looked at on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. And I do have the contents of the Brainiac Reborn book that I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to share. They're just double checking. Dustin is aware that I'm doing that video, so he'll probably be watching. So if you come watch that, make sure you come in with some suggestions too. I already seen some suggestions, but I want to go ahead and, I wanted to reach out to them about, what has already been in the catalog that's missing content, but they have to get everything approved. So there you go. I think that's it. Are we done, Peter? We did it.
I guess.
I never get tired of talking to you, but I do need to eat dinner. I haven't eaten dinner, and it's 8:00 my time. So, Peter, where can people find you when you're not hanging out with me arguing about how bad the Ken as a character is?
Well, when I'm not running several Decan fan groups. No, that's not true. I don't do that. I don't believe in character fan groups. All three members. I'm on crushingcrisis.com, which has guides to collecting just about all the Marvel universe, as well as DC and a lot of indie books too. And I'm here on YouTube at Crushing Crisis, where I have a pull list show every Monday and then some other times of the week as well, where I yell at top volume about all of the new comics coming out every week, including faves and raves, and also some rants. And I give you my top ranking of comic series of 2025 every single week. Right now, my top comic book series of 2025 is Batman Dark Patterns.
What?
And I've read 400 comic series so far that have released in 2025. So I challenge you to find somebody else who has a more definitive take than me. Go.
Wow, that is some high praise.
Omar, you'll see when you read it. It's like a best ever Batman. It's like Long Halloween quality. It's that good.
Who's the creators behind that one?
It is Dan Waters writing, Hayden Sherman on art, colored by Trano Farrell, and letters by Frank Sedovic.
How the heck is Hayden Sherman on so many
freaking... They're on 3 books. They do 3 books.
Yeah,
they're doing an indie book with Zach Thompson. They're on Batman Dark Patterns, and they're the main artists on Wonder Woman, Absolute Wonder Woman.
Wow.
And they just picked up an Eisner Award for Absolute Wonder Woman, because those awards are given to both the writer and the penciler.
To be young again. Wow. Dark Patterns is better than year 1 and year... Okay, nothing is better than year 2.
You're going to see, Omar, you're going to see. When it comes out, you're going to immediately ask for an absolute. I'm telling you, y'all, I know there's a Marvel stream. I would not lead you astray. It is the talk of everyone I know who reads comics. You do not want to be missing Batman Dark Patterns.
Okay. What tier of Omar's Patreon do I need to see good things?
Good things?
I mean, we can talk about your definition of good things and my definition of good things. Another idea.
Are you going to answer his question? Sell the Patreon, Omar.
What's a good thing? I'm pretty cheap. $500.
I believe the Discord access comes with a $5 level.
Oh, yes, my wife is better than at selling that than I am. Crisis speaks the truth. How's my buddy Eric doing, man? Oh, reading orders and mappings. Oh, those are like $1, I think. I guess at the $1 tier, man. I do need to bring back Matt My Ex. I need to get on the ball about that. And Peter and I are going to talk really quick before I eat dinner, though, about what I've been asked so many times about for the last month is, when is the Evergreen streams returning? So let me talk to Peter, and I will be back. I'm the Uncanny Omar. You are watching Near Mint Condition. I will be back tomorrow with another overview, and I think Maddie's coming back to Old Reader, New Reader, and then Wednesday live at 6:30 p.m. is the DC, the entire catalog. We're going to have to fly through the thing. But that's it, everybody. We are out of here for now. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.